podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, December 1st, 2019. This is episode 1649. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by CacheFly. Give your users the seamless online experience they want. Power your site or app with CacheFly's content delivery network and be 30% faster than the competition. Learn more at twit.cachefly.com. And by LastPass, a personal password manager and identity solution for businesses all in one. You only need one master password, and LastPass remembers the rest. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more. And by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Thinking about moving your data storage to the cloud? Wasabi is enterprise-class cloud storage at 1/5 the price of Amazon S3 and up to 6 times faster with no hidden fees for egress or API requests. Calculate your savings and try Wasabi with free unlimited storage for a month at wasabi.com. Code TWIT. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, augmented reality, real reality. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach me, but you got to, use Skype out or something like that. It should still be free. 8888. Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. I mentioned that so you don't have to write anything down. You're busy. You're doing stuff. I don't want you to take your hands off the wheel or your eyes off the shopping bag. So just, listen, enjoy, and know that anytime, if you hear something you want to know more about, put a pin in it. Just put a little pin in your forehead. And then at your leisure, when you get home, you can go to techguylabs.com. Or better yet, when you're at work, you want something to do instead of work, techguylabs.com. That's free, no sign up. Whole show's there. Not just the questions and answers, but links and even audio and video from the show after the fact. So techguylabs.com. The numbers are in. The numbers for Black Friday are in. It hit a new high, but, and this is kind of the, this is the trend these days. It hit a new high, but was below expectations, so it's bad. Adobe, isn't that interesting? Adobe measures this. Adobe, the company does Photoshop and Photoshop Elements and Premiere, and they also, I guess they get a little sideline where they look at shopping numbers. And according to Adobe, I don't know how they get this so fast. On Thanksgiving, let's see, is that Thanksgiving? No, it's Dark Friday. I don't call it Black Friday. I call it Dark Friday. $7.4 billion online, and almost half of that, $2.9 billion, was on smartphones. Do you shop on smartphones? That's a huge change, isn't it? I mean, not only are we no longer going into stores, but we're not even going on to the computer. We're just doing it on the phone. $7.4 billion. That's up over $1 billion over last year. And I'll vouch for that. Did you go shopping on Black Friday? I tried to. My wife and I don't know what got into us. About 2 in the afternoon, she said, let's go to the outlet mall. We have an outlet mall not too far from the house. Okay. So we drove there, and it was jammed. I mean, you couldn't, we literally could not find a parking place in the whole darn place. And we didn't want to circle 100 times waiting for people to leave. We followed a few people with bags, but it just got, too much. So we went home. And that was our Black Friday shopping. And isn't that, and honestly, both of us said, next time, just online. Why? Adobe even pays attention to what the popular toys were. And I know that I am in that intermediate period Or my children are grown, so I'm not buying them toys. And they don't have kids yet, so I'm not buying them grandkids' toys. So I don't even know what this stuff is. Frozen 2, well, I know what that is. It's a movie, right? So I guess there's Frozen 2 stuff. LOL Surprise. That's a thing. I don't know what it is. I'm going to guess. See if I'm close. LOL Surprise. I think one of the things that's very hot right now, or was anyway last time I looked, about 3 years ago, with the kids, is the surprise present that you unwrap, and there's little things in it. In fact, it's like a hot YouTube category. Unboxing of these LOL Surprise things. Now, I think that's what that is. Is it? LOL Surprise. And then Paw Patrol. Got to be a pet thing. Best-selling video games. Do Mom and Dad give video games anymore? Knock it off. You too, Grandpa and Grandma. Because the kids don't want a box with a game in it. They really don't. Give them a gift card because they just download the thing. And even if you buy a DVD with the latest game, you're going to download at least as much as is on the DVD. It's just really, all it really is copy protection key. You have to have the disc inserted to play the game, and nobody wants that. So I think these video games are not the best-selling video games. They are the best-selling video games online, which means boxed goods, like a DVD, which means it's for Dad, because he's the only one doofus enough to buy a game in a box. And you know what? Look at these titles. It is for Dad. FIFA 20, soccer game. Madden 20, football game. Oh, but people did buy a Nintendo Switch. You can't download those yet. That's the video game box. That shouldn't be in video games. That should be in electronics. There's an electronics category. Apple laptops, AirPods, and Samsung TVs top the list. Not surprised, because Apple released a new 16-inch MacBook Pro that stimulates sales all across the line. Those new AirPod Pros are out. Man, Apple's making some dough. $250. Guarantee you there's not more than $50 worth of parts in that thing. Probably $30. Guarantee it. $2.9 billion of Black Friday sales happened on smartphones. Wow. In fact, smartphone sales are growing faster than overall online shopping sales. So people are going directly from the store to the phone. They're skipping the computer in between. Smartphones probably next year or the year after will be the #1 way people do their Black Friday shopping. And in my case, it would have been a smartphone from the parking lot that had nowhere to park. Oh, the heck with it. I'm going to buy it right here. Principal analyst and head of Adobe Digital Insights, Taylor Schreiner, said, with Christmas now rapidly approaching. Really? Oh, that explains it. Consumers increasingly jumped on their phones rather than standing in line. Yeah. Did you see the usual videos of people like getting injured in stampedes? No. In fact, those videos, used to come from Target a lot, right? But there's no Target anymore. So it's like, that's a sign. That's a sign. They had stampedes, but then they went out of business. That's a sign. 41% more online purchasing. Even when customers went to stores, they were now buying nearly 41% more online and then going to the store to pick it up. What? Why do you do that? Why do you do? Maybe you need it today. Christmas is a month off. Hanukkah's a month off. Why? Just have them mail it. And this is more from Adobe. As such, mobile represents a growing opportunity for smaller businesses to extend the support they see from consumers buying locally in store on Small Business Saturday to the rest of the holiday season. Small Business Saturday, that was yesterday, I didn't even know it, will accelerate sales for those retailers who can offer unique products or services the retail giants can't provide and that you can't buy on a phone. So the way this works, I guess they track sales in real time for 80 of the top 100 retailers, covering 55 million products, 1 trillion transactions. Wow. Wow. The analysts predicted 7.5 billion, and we got 7.4, so they were pretty close. Maybe they missed it because Black Friday was like practically the last day of the month. Maybe that's it. Maybe people shopped a little earlier. I would have, right? And Black Friday deals have started much earlier this year because of a late Thanksgiving. So I think that's probably it. As more people shop, they're also shopping for more expensive items. I guess people have decided the economy's going great. The average order value of these trillion transactions, $168, also a record, up 6% over last year. Smartphone sales themselves, that's really like, Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail. You're buying a smartphone on the smartphone. Smartphone sales themselves up 21% over last year. Wow. And those who are not buying were as a start browsing. 61% of all online traffic to retailers coming from smartphones. Wow. Do you do that? Do you shop on the phone before you go to the store? Big e-commerce companies doing better than the little ones. Amazon, the rich get richer, right? Overall, 62% sales boost this season. Well, I think the economy's just doing great, and you all are going to get some really nice presents. Congratulations. A big Black Friday in our annual Black Friday report. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. TechGuyLabs.com, that's the website. Kim Schaffer's here. She's answering the calls, and we'll get your call on the air right after this. And apparently, Kimmy is a San Francisco 49ers fan.
Yes, she is.
My goodness, you're dressed in red today.
Mm-hmm. It's a perfect day for it, though. It's cold and rainy out there. So.
They're actually in Baltimore, but it's cold and rainy there, too. So,
yeah,
cold and rainy all over. We're getting winter.
We are. It was quite the treacherous drive up here today.
Yeah,
Everybody was spun out. If we could let you do this job at home, we would. But I don't think there's any way you can do it at home. Not right now.
Nor can I. What? Who should I take first?
How about Bob in Des Moines, Iowa?
Bob in Des Moines.
Line 2.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
She's unbreakable, even if the Niners lose. Right? They're not going to lose, though, are they?
Not going to lose. No.
No. I got some Niners fans in there with you.
Burke.
Hey, Bob. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
I'm going to be getting the new Mac Pro.
You're kidding.
And
have you been saving your pennies carefully for the last 5 years?
I have been. I used to use the old cheese grater.
Yeah, a great computer, a classic computer. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And but it got old, and I got the new one, the trash can.
Yeah, that came out end of 2013, early 2014. I bought it too. Still using it?
Yeah, and I'm still using it, but I'm excited to switch over to the new one.
It starts the computer alone, minus the wheels, let alone the screen, mouse, and monitor, and keyboard, is $6,000, and probably, you're going to look at it and go, well, I'd like to maybe put a little more memory in it, a little faster processor, and it's going to cost a lot of money. But it's for pros. What do you do? Are you a professional video editor or?
So I'm an amateur / I'm mostly an amateur, but I do video, I do audio recording.
Yeah. Audio maybe not so much, although they did show a Logic Pro. If you do music, record records, they showed a Logic Pro, a project with, I can't remember, hundreds of instruments all playing at once, and that's really nice. That means you got a lot of memory, a lot of processing power. And, of course, video is very demanding. And they can not only handle multiple 4K streams simultaneously, they can handle 8K. So, yeah, it makes sense, and that's one of the reasons Apple can charge so much for that, because if people are using it for serious stuff. They're not browsing the net and answering emails. So what's your question about the Mac Pro?
Okay, so my question is actually not about the Mac Pro. So I'm going to get the Mac Pro. The XDR monitor that they have
$5,000. Yes.
Well, unless you want a stand to go with it, because that's another $1,000.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Yeah, you know, truthfully, the Xdr Monitor is also an interesting story. It's not a monitor for the rest of us. It's a monitor that competes with very high-end monitors used by professional film graders and people who are paying now $30,000 or $40,000 for a monitor. They look at it and they go, "What? Only $5,000 for that? I'll get a stand." And so they don't mind that price. But you're right. You probably don't need a Mac Pro. Frankly, did you look at the iMac Pro?
Yeah, I'm
fine.
set on the Mac Pro.
Okay. I don't want to talk you out of it. I think that's great. I wish I could afford one. Well, actually, I guess I could afford it, but I wish I could justify it.
Right.
I would love to have. It's a beautiful work of art. But boy, it's a pricey work of art. So there are lots of good monitors. What you want, if you're doing video, of course, is an accurate monitor. You want a large monitor. Most video editors use multiple monitors. I know ours do, because you might have the thing you're editing full screen in one monitor and the controls in the other, or the timeline in the other. You might mix that up, and 2 monitors is better than 1. So Apple is going to, I'm sure, continue to sell. I shouldn't say I'm sure. I don't know what they're going to do, but I would guess they're going to continue to sell the 5K monitor that they have been selling until they came out with the Pro Display. So
is that the LG?
Yeah, the LG 5K, and that's the ultra fine. That's excellent. That's an excellent monitor, and it's expensive. Since if you want to spend money, you could also get less expensive monitors. I would look at dual 27-inch, or now you can get these ultra wide curved screens that are kind of wild. The key for you is frame rate. Probably you want sufficient frame rate so you don't see any stuttering, and color accuracy. But you don't need to spend all that money on the XDR. That's really not for that's for people who know they need it, shall we say?
Yeah. Now, what frame rate should I be looking at?
Well, you want it 60. You want it to be able to sustain 60 because you're going to be looking at stuff that's 60, right? So that's fine. I think any good monitor will be fine. You just nowadays monitors are often sold to gamers, and they want a fast frame rate too. They want at least 60. So I think start with the LG and see if that looks good to you. But I think maybe the way to go is to get get 2 less expensive monitors, or 1 really wide one. Asus makes some very good wide monitors, extra wides. Dell does too, but Dell has 2 lines. They have a kind of consumer line and a high-end pro grade line. Get the pro grade in no matter what. But you don't need to spend $5,000 on a monitor. You're already spending $6,000 on a computer. Right. It starts to add up after a while. Hey, great to talk to you. Tell me how you like it when you get it. Yeah, $640 for the Dell 27, the Dell Professional 27. There's a lot of other excellent choices. I don't know why they charge so much. Sam Abuelsamid.
Leo, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing okay.
You're going to talk about the Rivian today? Is that what that's behind? No, it's a Chevy.
It's a Chevy. I want to talk about electric crate motors. Kind of follow on to we had a conversation a couple of months ago about electric resto mods, and so there's this concept of crate motors. Manufacturers sell basically complete engines with wiring harnesses and electronics and everything that you can drop into older cars, to modify them. And now they're starting to get into doing electric crate motors. So, where you could buy, one of the most popular crate motors these days is, Chevy small block, various LS series engines.
All right. And, don't use the whole segment. I want to be surprised. Okay. But good, I got it. Great. That'll be fun. Cool. That'll be really fun. Any more news on the Mach-E? Probably not, huh?
The first editions are sold out.
Oh, good.
So
I got in.
Since you got in there early, you should be able to get yours.
I'm so excited.
So they haven't said how many of those are going to be. I think it's going to be about 10,000 of those.
That sounds about right.
But they're all sold out, and moving on to the rest of the lineup now.
Good. Am I nuts to? I mean, I could still change it, but am I nuts to get the first edition? Wait,
no, not
this is something I've been meaning to ask because I like the idea of dual motors, front and back, all-wheel drive. Is that just Am I ignorant?
No, not at all. I think that's perfectly legit. Especially, you guys occasionally go up to Tahoe and other locations where you may be in conditions where you have less than ideal traction, and having all-wheel drive is nothing wrong with that.
It's not four-wheel drive; it's all-wheel drive.
Yeah, four-wheel. The distinction there is four-wheel drive is usually used to refer to like trucks and SUVs that have a locked center differential. Where basically you're forcing it to send torque to all four wheels all the time.
Right.
So when you're really off-roading and things like that, you want that sort of system. But or have a low range. To crawling over boulders and things like that. Like you get in like a Jeep Wrangler.
Like a Jeep. Yeah.
But most people don't need that.
But having powered both axles is not. It's rainy here and slippery. That helps too. It helps there too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, on an EV, especially where like in the case of Teslas and this Mustang Mach-E, where it's the base version is rear wheel drive. Having all-wheel drive is actually better because you can get more regenerative braking off of that front motor. Because when you brake, you get some weight transfer onto the front axle, and so you can do more regen from the front axle than you can from the rear. If you do too much on the rear, too much braking on the rear, you destabilize the vehicle, especially if you're not going in a straight line. And so most of the braking by cars is done on the front wheels. And having all-wheel drive will allow you to recapture more energy.
I see. So it is a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't want to, I mean, I don't need red brake calipers, but
oh, come on, everybody needs bright red brake calipers.
I do,
especially big Brembos.
I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait. Yeah, it's time for Sam Abuelsamid. He is our car guy, principal researcher at Navigant Research. He also hosts a great car podcast. You should listen to it. Wheel Bearings. It's at wheelbearings.media. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Leo. How are you this week?
You are sitting in front of a classic Chevy truck. Last week we talked about state-of-the-art electric vehicles. This week it's the old-timey stuff?
Sort of, yeah. So, the truck behind me is it's a 1958 Chevy pickup. It was shown last month at the SEMA show in Las Vegas. SEMA is the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association. It's a trade association for companies that make aftermarket automotive parts, and a lot of the companies, it's all kinds of things, but a lot of it is performance parts and replacement parts for modifying vehicles. And one of the popular products in this segment is what are called crate engines. So a lot of car makers sell crate engines. So it's basically a complete engine in a box, hence the name crate engine. And it'll come complete with a fuel system and electronics and a wiring harness. So you get the computers to drive it and everything. And it's very handy. If you want to modify an older vehicle, but you don't necessarily want to do a complete engine build, or you don't necessarily have the skills to do a complete engine build, you can buy essentially a complete engine and drop it into a vehicle. And
does it go in the same place as the old gas engine? Does it fit in that? Okay.
Yeah, typically.
Okay.
And
even the battery and everything.
Well, yeah, and so I mean, this is something that's been a product for a lot of years. One of the most popular crate engine formats is the Chevy small block, and a lot of people modify vehicles and put in even non-GM vehicles and drop in small block engines. Well, at the SEMA show, GM showed this pickup that was originally a C10 pickup. Now it's called the E10. And what they did was they took two Chevy Bolt motors, like the drive motor that's in your car.
Yeah.
Stacked them together and put two of the battery packs from a Bolt in the bed, stacked them on top of each other, and put it all together in this truck. and used it as a demonstration to show what's possible. And in fact, GM has acknowledged that they're working on a product that'll go in their performance parts catalog. That'll be an e-crate motor.
I always wanted a classic car, but I want one with modern conveniences. I don't want a coal burner.
Yeah.
So I love this mix.
This takes it to the extreme. So it's electric.
Yeah. And by the way, 450 horsepower.
Yeah, the motor in your car is about 200 off the shelf, and they modified these slightly. So two of those together, they got 450 horsepower.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and what they're doing is they are packaging this together, so stacking two motors together and packaging it with the same mounting points that a standard Chevy small block V8 uses. So the idea is you could pull out, an engine from a 1950s or 1960s vehicle, or even a 70s or 80s vehicle, pull out that that big V8 engine, drop in this motor, bolts up to the same mounting points. You don't have to fabricate new mounting points and everything, and bolts right up to the existing transmission. Yeah. And you're off and running.
I mean, you don't get, anti-lock brakes and airbags and that car. You don't even get seat belts. But so there are some missing safety features. But at least you've got a great engine. I think this is going to be the year, or 2020 is going to be the year of electric pickups, isn't it? We see Ford says they're going to do an F-150. We see
more like 2021.
2021. That's when the Elons will come out, the Cybertruck, and Rivian's got a electric truck. Is it because they have great torque? Is that why people want electric pickups?
That's certainly one of the things. The torque. Torque is important in a truck. Especially to give you good towing capability and good payload capability. Because a big part of the reason for buying a truck is to be able to tow a 8, 10, 12,000 pound trailer. Right. Or put a couple of thousand pounds of stuff in the bed.
And pickups are so versatile, because you could put a little a shell in the bed and have like a little motor home, or you can do so many things with the pickup. So it's kind of a neat idea to put an electric. Now, how expensive is this going to be?
They haven't said yet. My guess is, if you include the battery pack and the motor, it's probably going to be somewhere, depending on the size of the battery pack, it could be somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000. But if you go shopping for a crate engine today, a V8 crate engine, it runs anywhere from about $5,000 or $6,000 on the low end, depending on the performance level you want, up to about $12,000 or $15,000. So it's probably actually not going to be that much more, than a good crate engine. And this will allow you to take your classic vehicle and electrify it and go cruising with the thing and not have to worry about making it meet emission standards going forward. You can go cruising, especially in California, you can go cruising with this thing. It'll be totally silent. Actually, this E10 concept that Chevy put together, they've got speakers mounted around the thing, so it can generate different kinds of sounds. So you can emulate the sound of different engines.
That's the thing that cracks me up about this Mustang Mach-E, and I know the Porsche Taycan. They pipe engine sounds into the cabin. Sometimes modern whirring electric sounds, but sometimes like old gas engine sounds into the cabin, so you feel like you're driving a classic.
Yeah, well, when you're driving a performance car, especially, part of the experience of driving that kind of car is the visceral experience of the sound.
I always do that when I drive my Mustang. Just make that sound with my mouth. That's all I need to do. Yeah. No, I remember that visceral sound. And each car is unique. But my Mustang really had a unique, throaty rumble that is distinct to the Mustang.
Yeah, big American V8s have one kind of sound. If you take a flat 6 from a Porsche 911, it sounds completely different. A 4-cylinder engine, something else entirely. So
I just heard the Taycan, Porsche Taycan, one of the sounds, which sounds like, something out of Blade Runner. I like that too. Are electric motors silent?
they're
whine
generally
a little bit, don't
quiet,
they?
not necessarily silent.
Yeah.
They can make a little bit of a whine depending on the design of the motor. And it varies depending on the specific motor, but they usually make some sound, but it's much less than the exhaust sound from an internal combustion engine.
And Burke, who works for me in the studios, one of our studio engineers and rides a motorcycle, said they also need to make external sounds for us motorcyclists. No sneaking.
Well, and
up.
that's part of the regulations now. At speeds below about 20 miles an hour, they're required to make a sound, especially when you're driving around in the city, to alert pedestrians. So for blind pedestrians and
bicyclists, motorcyclists, all the people who use.
Yeah,
we forget, maybe don't even know or notice how much we use hearing to determine what's going on behind us. And
and at the LA Auto Show, BMW talked about, one of the things they talked about was they're working with Hans Zimmer actually to develop new sounds for their forthcoming EVs. To try to give them a unique soundtrack, so that it sounds modern and futuristic, but also distinctly BMW.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
What a world we live in. So get your new EV crate engine. How broad a range of vehicles? Is it just going to be this particular pickup?
No.
I want a Vet. Can I put a crate engine in a Vet?
Yeah, actually, because it's being designed, to mount up to those same mounting points as the Chevy small block. Basically, almost any rear-wheel drive GM vehicle, actually, it's not hard to modify it to put on almost any vehicle.
You can put it in a Nova if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sam Abuelsamid, he's principal researcher at Navigant. Don't forget his great podcast, wheelbearings.media, joins us every week to talk about automobiles. And I love the idea of taking a classic car and putting an electric engine in it. I think that's a great idea. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Da, 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 da. Somebody said they want Axel F's theme to sound.
Yeah, well, you can do that. That's the beauty of this. You can put any sound you want on it. It's like a ringtone. It's like a mobile ringtone.
Every car should have a unique sound. How funny. Yeah. How funny. I like this idea. So when are they going to start offering this?
I think probably about a year from now. Sometime next year, I think you'll probably see this added to the GM Performance Parts catalog. And I think we'll see other manufacturers doing the same thing.
Because Lisa and I, I'm getting that Mach-E, but she says once the kid's out of the house, she really wants a Vet, and she really wants an electric Vet. Now, I know Chevy's talking about making one, but Miss might be able to get then you get a classic Vet body.
Maybe next week I'll talk about a company called Genovation, and they're a company. I think they're from Texas, but they a couple years ago introduced an electric conversion for the current generation, not the new mid-engine Corvettes, but the C7 and C6 Corvettes.
Yeah.
And so they're doing EV conversions on Corvettes, so that can be arranged.
Okay. And I want a Jaguar XKE.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Sam, you're great. Thank you. I always love these segments. I really appreciate you doing them. Is it freezing in Detroit?
Actually, it's about 40 degrees today, so it's not too bad.
Oh, not bad. It's probably warmer there than it is here. I think it's 44 here. And we're gonna do Tuesday 1 p.m. At CES. I'm thrilled that you're willing to do that. It looks like you got a great lineup for us. That is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, we should have some cool segments for you.
Oh, thank you. We'll meet you, and you can just basically. I think the premise will be you're going to show us around, kind of.
Yeah. We'll hit a few different vendors and record some segments. It'll be great.
That'll be fun. Thanks, Sam.
All right, talk to you next week, Leo.
Take care. Bye. Not this Tuesday, Tech. This is Tuesday, January 4th or 5th. I can't remember. It's first day of CES. So we're lining up. Ant and I are going to do Ant and Leo's Excellent CES Adventure. And we're lining up. We're going to have Dick DiBartolo do the junky gadgets in the basement at the Sands. We're going to have Sam do cars. We're going to have Stacy Higginbotham do IoT in the IoT Pavilion. And we're going to have Scott Wilkinson do TV. So we're going to have them. And then Ant and I are also going to be wide-eyed innocents and looking for cool things on the show floor. And I think we're going to do short 2 to 5 minute segments, feed a bunch of them each day, plus a half-hour best of at the end. So it's going to be fun. That's not till January, which is only in a month. Holy cow. How did that happen? We'll be back with the Tech Guy in just a bit. When you download any of our shows on the Twit network, you're downloading them from our CDN, our Content Delivery Network, and we use CacheFly. In fact, from day one, practically, we've used CacheFly because not only is it the best, CacheFly is 10 times faster than traditional delivery methods, but not only is it 100% SLA, it never goes down. It can't go down. They've got so many servers all over the world. That's why it works so fast. And I never have to worry about a 3 a.m. phone call. Not only does it do all of that, but it's the most affordable CDN. One of the problems we have, and I bet you do too, anybody who has apps or podcasts or content or anything that they deliver to their end users over the internet, it tends to be spiky, right? Nothing will happen, then boom, everything all at once. And the problem with some CDNs is suddenly you have to start, oh, am I going to exceed my limit this week or today? Is this going to be a problem? Is my spike going to kill me? Is my bill going to double? Not with CacheFly. CacheFly averages out your costs over a year of usage so that you know exactly what you're going to pay month to month. You don't have to constantly check your bill, make sure you're all right. So we're very spiky. You know, when a show comes out, everybody downloads it and then it tapers off. CacheFly has handled that. We literally deliver petabytes of data every month. I haven't checked last time. I think it was 7 or 8 petabytes every month through the CacheFly network with not one hitch in over 10 years. Join thousands of people who trust CacheFly's reliable network. It's not just me. LG uses it. Even Microsoft uses it. Adobe uses it. Ars Technica. No billing spikes. You'll save on average more than 20% for the best possible service. I don't know where you can go wrong. In fact, why aren't you using CacheFly? I got a deal for you. If you go to twit.cachefly.com right now, bring your bill, and they will analyze it. They'll look at the spikes. They'll average it out over a year. So bring them as many bills as you can, and they can give you a quote. And really, you'll get the best sense of what you will save using the best CDN out there. CacheFly. Twit.cachefly.com. No high pressure. Don't worry. They're great guys. Matt Levine and his team are fantastic. Twit.cachefly.com. They deliver Twit. They should be delivering you. Thank you, CacheFly. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Yeah, we're playing the music already. It's only a matter of time before the barking dogs invade your home. Line 1, Grant, St. Paul, Minnesota. Hello, Grant.
Hello, Leo.
How are you today? Good to talk to you. Is it snowing yet in the Twin Cities?
It's been doing that for all week.
Yeah. I guess it's not a surprise when December hits in St. Paul. You kind of know. You kind of know it's winter. No, it's winter. We know that.
Yeah, it happens every year.
Yeah, it happens every year. I've heard that. Yeah. What can I do for you?
So I was talking with my mom this week and came up with a plan for her. She currently has a computer in her kitchen area. Okay. And she likes being able to check Facebook and email and stuff.
Is it like a desktop that she has a keyboard and yeah. You know, that was going to be the next big thing was the kitchen computer. It never really took off, but why not, you know? Yeah.
We're talking about possibly moving that computer up into her craft room so she can, do her craft stuff in her craft room. And I'll show up there. And she only really needs the kitchen computer for web stuff. So we're talking about replacing it with a Chromebox kind of thing.
That's a great idea. You know, is it web stuff for cooking? Is it web stuff like recipes, or is it like she just wants to do, you said Instagram and Facebook. She just wants, what does she stand there and do that? I don't understand quite what's going on here. While she's waiting for the rice to cook, she'll look on Facebook. Is that it?
Yeah, she has a small desk that she can
Okay. Yeah, Chromebox is a great idea because they're inexpensive. If mostly what she does is surf, here's my prediction. She'll start using the Chromebox more and more and let the computer upstairs kind of go to, rest.
The question is, how can we do that the cheapest?
Well, a good Chromebox, and there are a number of them. Asus makes them. A good Chromebox is about $250 to $350. If you have already a keyboard, mouse, and monitor, that's the cost. But if you don't, go out. You can get a good, inexpensive monitor, and you're not going to want a giant one because you don't want to take over the kitchen. But you can get a good, inexpensive monitor for about $100. The Chromeboxes all support HDMI, so any monitor will work with it. Keyboard and mouse, another $50. So you're out the door for less than $500 in almost all circumstances. Is that in the ballpark?
Hoping
to go less.
Yeah, hoping to go less because I have an extra monitor that I can let her use.
Oh yeah, and who doesn't have mice and keyboards lying around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just give her the old stuff. As long as it's HDMI, it won't be any trouble. And there are $250 Chromeboxes out there. Let me look at this Asus Chromebox. 2 gigs of RAM, which you can go up to 4, and it's about $250. The less memory you get, you really save money because actually, whoa, look at this one. You could even buy it used for $129. So that might be another option, is to get a used Chromebox.
Okay.
Then you can really go down low. Acer makes them. HP has one for $139. How about that? That's got 4 gigs of RAM. Wow. It's a Celeron 1.4. That actually is a fairly decent device. Certainly all she'd need. 16 gigs of storage, but remember, you're not storing stuff on it. You know, she's just surfing. $139.99 on Amazon. That's the HP J5N5 out. J5N5 out, or maybe it's 50 UT. But anyway, that's a really inexpensive. You add a keyboard, mouse, and keyboard and a mouse to that. They're using, actually, this is a good idea for the kitchen, a wireless Logitech. And you're talking well under $200. You give her the monitor, you're set.
What is your thought on like Chromium OS and just get a really, really cheap PC?
Don't do that because it's very hard to get. There's a company that makes Chrome OS. In theory, you can install on any PC. My experience is it doesn't work on a lot of PCs. Just get a Chrome, get a Chrome device. $139. There's no reason. You're not saving anything. You're not going to get a PC cheaper than that. I think that's probably the best way to go. The other thing to look at, honestly, you might look at something that's not a computer. I have our kitchen does not have a computer in it. It has a Google Nest Hub Max. That's the Google device with a screen. It's actually incredibly useful for cooking. We use it, of course, for timers, just like everybody uses Amazon Echo for a timer. You can use it for that. But you can also watch video. You can watch, streaming video. You can watch YouTube. You can pull up recipes. In fact, Google even has a great little feature where you can pull up a recipe and it will walk you through it. So you can say next and next step, and it'll walk you through it. I think that might be, for me in the kitchen, that's what I want, is the Nest Hub Max. Now, it's actually a little bit more expensive. Not much, but a little bit more expensive than that Chromebox I just was mentioning. But the other advantage of that is you can share family photos to it. We use it as a photo frame. We have a Hello doorbell, so when somebody comes to our door and rings the doorbell, the Home Hub Max sitting in the kitchen says, someone's at the door. Shows you instantly, it shows you the video of whoever is at the door. So if you're working in the kitchen, you're cooking something, and somebody comes to the door, you know whether you need to answer it or not. An iPad, if you want to even get a little more serious, that's going to be more expensive. iPads, I think on Black Friday, I've seen iPads as low as $229. It's a little bit more expensive. But on the other hand, it's a little bit more compact. You get a little stand for it. And then she can use touch. I think there are a lot of good choices out there, but certainly a Chromebox is not a bad one. I'm a big fan, as you know, of Chrome OS because even though you have to be online, but everything these days has to be online. So it's most useful when it's online. It's not really that usable offline. And it is just the Chrome browser and whatever extensions you can put it on it, plus the Android store. But now with the Android store, and I think there's very little you can't do from a computing point of view. And it's so much more secure and so much simpler for most people. I think it's a really good choice. You're a nice son helping your mom out like that. Line 2, Mark, Colorado Springs. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
Call.
Happy holidays. I guess we should say that now.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too. Merry Christmas.
Hard to believe we're playing Christmas music.
Yeah.
What can I do for you?
Well, I live in a rural area of Colorado, and I've been with CenturyLink for, if I can say that online.
Sure.
Or on the air.
Sure.
For years and years. And they recently, best we could get was 10 megabytes a second.
Right.
And they just recently said, no, we can't do any better than 3.
What?
Is what I'm told now.
It's through the phone line?
Yeah, DSL.
Yeah, so DSL is limited by the distance to the home office. So it's weird that they went from 10 to 3. Maybe they're just trying to be more honest with you. Maybe they never really did give you 10.
Well, I ran speed tests, and because I called for 3 hours, was on the phone and said I was told this was guaranteed as long as I didn't change anything.
Well, they must have changed their equipment at the office. Do you have a cable company in the area you can use?
No, but so my question was recently they put up a wireless.
Oh, a WISP. Yeah.
Okay.
That's not a bad way to go, but you want to inquire because one of the things WISPs almost always do is have bandwidth caps because, they have more limited bandwidth that they can use. And also how much the equipment's going to cost up front because you usually have to buy a receiver. On the other hand, it's nice to have a choice. And until then, your choice was CenturyLink, so I'm glad to hear it. Hang on the line. We're going to take a break for the news at the top of the hour, but I'll talk a little more with you off the air. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So, yeah, what is the WISP offer? Often these are microwave, so it needs to be line of sight.
Yep, which I can see it.
Good.
It starts at 15 megabytes, and you can buy all the way up to I think 100.
Nice.
My concern, the thing I don't know, was wanting to kind of get your feedback on is the DSL something that's eventually going to go away, and I'm going to wait for it?
No, DSL is around to stay. I mean, that's the only way CenturyLink can offer you internet, and they make money on it. I'm surprised that they're not looking at newer DSL like ADSL2 and some of the plus solutions where they do line bonding to give you higher speed. They're going in the wrong direction, and I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm really not sure why.
Well, I can give you. I didn't know how much time you had on it.
Well, I have it now. I have all the time in the world.
Okay. So I dropped my telephone service because all it is
those jerks.
And I asked them 2 or 3 different people before I said, I don't want to do this if you're going to cut my internet.
And they did. Those jerky jerks.
And then they said, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do about it now.
Oh, what jerky jerks.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate them.
And I've talked with the CenturyLink guys that work out here in their trucks and asked them, what's the future look like? And they've said, well, there's not a lot of houses out here.
Right. They're not going to maintain it.
Cost them thousands of dollars to do anything, or, millions or whatever.
Yeah, they're not going to upgrade it. Although they can upgrade it with a switch. But you're probably very limited because of your role. I would look at the WISP.
Well, I'm not
for
burning
sure.
a bridge by canceling DSL.
Well, I can't promise you that. They sound like they're jerks.
Yeah, they are.
They don't sound like a nice company. The fact that you said, I want to try DSL, and then, well, in that case, you're only getting 3 megabits is ridiculous. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
I thought so too.
Because it doesn't. There's no technical reason for that at all. Except that it does sound like maybe they're trying to phase it out because they don't like supporting it.
Well, that's what it seems like, because the people that move into this neighborhood, this is like 5-acre tracts.
I bet new customers are going to get 3. They're not going to get 10.
They said all they can give them is dial-up.
Oh, they're phasing it out. Yeah. Yeah, thank God for the WISP. How much does a WISP cost?
About the same price, actually.
Do you have to buy equipment? How does the equipment work?
It's like $100 for them to come and install it.
Yeah, because they have to put a receiver up.
Yep.
The thing I would look most closely at with the WISP is what their limitations are. Bandwidth caps.
There's no caps on how much data.
Really?
Yeah. And there's, it's like $70 a month for 15 or $90 a month for 25. So it's not cheap.
No, you're paying for it, but that's great. Generally, that's the issue because, they only have so much to the backhaul to that transmitter. They only have so much bandwidth. But if it's a very sparsely populated area,
it is.
And not, but if 20 more people subscribe to it, you may find that it is not as, you're sharing that bandwidth.
I asked them, is there any risk of them overselling it? And they said, no, we'll always guarantee whatever price
That's fantastic.
Whatever speed you bought
you know
once we get to that limit.
Give them your business. They deserve it, and CenturyLink certainly does not.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not bad technology then.
No, it's strong as long as you have good line of sight. Now, if it rains or, there's heavy weather, it's line of sight, but it's microwave. It's not, but it can get funky in bad weather, things like that. Generally, the problem with these solutions is, sometimes they call it a fair usage contract. There's things that, essentially they're bandwidth caps where they slow you down after a certain period of time and stuff like that. So read the fine print, but boy, that's great.
Okay.
That's great. Hey, anything you can get. There might be a little, I'm thinking if there's going to be any latency, because it's not far away. The tower, is it far away?
No, I can see it. It's maybe a mile away.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of latency getting to that, but remember, it's speed of light, so it's not a lot of latency.
Yeah.
So I think that's
my ping would change from about 4 to maybe 10.
Right. That's exactly right. So they're really being
doable.
Yeah, totally doable.
Okay.
They're being straight up with you. So now you say you don't have a phone line, so you're obviously using VoIP.
Yep.
So there'll be the latency. You might notice that a little bit more on phone calls, that there's a little more lag.
Okay.
Are you a gamer?
Yep. Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we do Netflix and that kind of thing online. Other than that, we do our businesses out of here, though, so it's like email.
Oh, yeah, you really want it to work, yeah. Email won't be a problem. Email's never a problem because it's, kind of asynchronous. But Netflix, I don't know. I think that sounds like a great deal. And you're not burning bridges because it sounds like that CenturyLink doesn't really want you anyway.
It doesn't seem like they do.
No, they call that dry loop when you have you don't have phone service, you just have DSL. They hate it.
Well, and I've called them for a year or two saying, hey, the only calls I get are junk mail. I don't understand why you guys aren't trying to do something about it,
They don't sound like a great company. But look at it on the Bright Springs. You live right side. You live in a beautiful area in Colorado Springs. You enjoy it. You got big lots. You're living the life. And if you can get decent internet, which it sounds like you can, just be grateful.
Yep. All right. Good.
Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones like the iPhone and the Pixel phone and Samsung Galaxy phone, smart watches like the Apple Watch. That's about it, isn't it? That's a shorter list. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. When Rich was on, Rich is the iPhone expert. Did he mention? I love this feature, this new feature in iOS 13. If you go into the phone app settings on iOS 13, you can say silence unknown callers. Now, I know this seems kind of hostile. Calls from unknown numbers. That means a number not in your contact list will be sent to voicemail. They'll show up on recents, so you'll know you got it. You can call them right back if you need to. Incoming calls will continue to ring from people in your contacts, recent outgoing calls, and Siri suggestions. That eliminates the robocall problem, right? I don't know that number, and it just doesn't ring. Just goes right to mail. And, of course, robocallers, they don't leave voicemail. Once I turned that on, my phone got very quiet. Our last caller made me think of this. He says, I only get robocalls on my phone line. I don't need it anymore. We all get those. So that's a nice feature of the iPhone. I don't know how much Apple promoted it. It's kind of news to me, so I just thought I'd pass it along. 8888 Ask Leo. We'll put a kind of step-by-step at techguylabs.com, the website. That's free. There's no sign-up, so it's just there for your edification. But it's phone settings, silence unknown callers. Don't want to silence you, though. Timmy, Oak Hills, California. Hello, Timmy.
Hey, Leo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
I have a quick question about Windows 7 and then an additional comment after listening to your electric vehicle, if time permits.
Sure.
But I appreciate it. First off, you've said some things. Of course, we all know that Windows support for Windows 7 goes away in January.
Yeah. 6 weeks from now.
I love my Windows 7 Ultimate because it supports Windows XP, all that kind of stuff for my old programs.
Right.
What do I really need to worry about as far as security after their support goes? Like, what is it? Browser?
It's everything.
Purchases, email, or am I?
Yeah. So here's what's going to happen. I think it's January 14th, but about 6 weeks from now.
Right.
Microsoft. The same thing happened to XP. Happened to Vista. This is a traditional, thing. After 10 years, Microsoft says we're not going to fix security flaws anymore. That's really what they're saying. If there's a problem with this operating system, you're on your own. You've been getting patches every month, sometimes more than once a month, for the last 10 years. They're saying now, sorry, you got to get Windows 10. Now, there's a couple of things to point out. One is most people can get Windows 10 for free still by just taking your existing Windows 7, downloading Windows 10 from Microsoft. You just search for the media creation tool. You make a USB key. You burn it, with the Windows 10 installer. Put it on there. And in most cases, I hate to say this because if it doesn't work, then you're kind of stuck. But in most cases, it seems to work. It's a free upgrade. I think Microsoft is so anxious to get everybody to Windows 10. They understand that a lot of us running Windows 7 are perturbed because there's nothing wrong with Windows 7. But they're not going to support it anymore. Businesses can pay for support, which is weird. That means Microsoft's still doing the work, but they're doing it at great expense. And the cost doubles every year. So this is all to get everybody off of Windows 7. If you really want to keep running Windows 7, here's what will happen. And we know this because we saw it happen with Windows XP. Probably, it's been patched and patched and patched. It's probably going to be pretty good. You're not going to get... So you're going to have to watch news, listen to my show, and look and keep an ear out for real big problems with Windows 7. But that seems unlikely. That did not happen with XP. The biggest problem is going to be after a couple of years, the browsers are going to stop supporting it. So Microsoft isn't going to update Internet Explorer. They're not going to offer Edge for it. And eventually Firefox, Chrome, and the other browsers will stop supporting it. And
Internet Explorer. Yeah, Internet Explorer already does not work on many websites.
Right. Yeah, because they're replacing it with Edge, but they're not going to update Edge for it. So So this is where you're gonna this is where it starts becoming inconvenient to use Windows 7. You'll also start seeing software updates that won't work on Windows 7 because developers will stop supporting it. So it starts with Microsoft, but it does cascade down to other companies eventually. They'll stop supporting it. And it took XP about 1 year to 2 years before it really was untenable, where if you're still using XP, it's like, well, take it off the internet. As long as you just use it with the software you've got, you're okay. Right. But you want to use it with the internet, or it's not a useful computer. So I think it's probably all right, but you're going to have to just pay more attention, be extra careful. Here's the real threat. If there is a security flaw, the worst kind of security flaw, and they do happen, and they happen, unfortunately, fairly frequently, allows a bad guy to get into your computer without you knowing or your intervention in any way. Normally, they send you a link, you have to click something, they trick you, and you install something, and it's bad. But
that's what I was worried about, was if I'm not active, like email or anything like that, or downloads or online purchases, if I'm just online, static, so to speak, with Windows 7, can they still,
Yeah, that's the problem. But right now, there's nothing like that because you've been keeping it up to date. Starting January 14th, there's the potential that the hackers will discover a way to get into your computer without you doing anything. See, you can be very careful. You can say, well, I'm not going to download anything from strange sites. I'm not going to click links in email. I'm not going to click strange links in Facebook, that kind of thing. You can be really, really careful and still get infected if there's one of these flaws that lets them get in without you doing anything. And the way they get in, you go to a website. There's software you don't see, hidden software under the surface of the website that, while you're there, tinkers with your system. And
if I use like Google, even if I've updated to Chrome and Firefox,
doesn't matter.
Windows 7.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Now, as I said, there is nothing like that right now. So, but the potential is something will be discovered, or, in fact, this is not unlikely, somebody's been holding on to it, saying, I can't wait till June 14th or January 14th because that's when I'm going to release the hounds. So it's possible there are bad guys out there who have been holding on to what we call these exploits. And if that's the case, then here's the risk. You could go to a website, not click on anything, not do anything. Could be a site that you've gone to over and over again, a well-known site. But because most of these sites have automated ad sales, a bad guy bought a ad that had embedded malware in it, and the malware got activated when you went to the site. You didn't know it. You had no idea this was happening. Got on your system, ran a program that put ransomware on your system, and all of a sudden, without you doing anything dangerous, your whole system's encrypted, and they say if you want to get it.
Sounds like on January 14th, I'm going to stick on my Chromebook for a couple of weeks and see what happens.
Yeah, and you can keep using Windows 7, but it's risky, and if you do, you're going to have to really step up your watch, looking out for flaws. It'll be, believe me, because so many people run Windows 7, and there's still millions of people running it. If there is something like this discovered in the world, there'll be headlines. I'll talk about it. Everybody it'll be on all the tech sites. They'll say, "Oh no, Windows 7." And sometimes, if it's really bad, this happened with XP, Microsoft will fix it. There was something came out really bad on Windows XP about a year after they said we're not going to do anything anymore, and it was so serious. Microsoft said, "Well, we better fix this." It was a remote desktop exploit, and they fixed it. So sometimes, but I wouldn't count on it. And stuff could come out. It didn't with XP, but it could come out, and all of a sudden, everybody who uses Windows 7 on the internet is vulnerable. That's the real fear. And by the way, it's not just yourself you're messing up. If you're running unprotected on the internet, your machine can also be used to infect other sites, to infect other people. You can become, the Typhoid Mary of the internet. So this is why we really strongly say, come January 14th, you need to get Windows 10. Or stop using Windows, maybe, get a different computer. Another option is to put Linux on your system. I think Linux is very good. A Chrome OS is Linux, but it's kind of a dumbed down Linux. But Linux is a very powerful, good operating system, and it's up to date. It's actually more secure than Windows anyway, just by its nature. So there are solutions out there. The worst possible solution is just running Windows 7 and hoping for the best. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. I'm glad you asked, and of course I'll continue to talk about it. And I'll make you a promise right now. I'll keep an eye on Windows 7, and if we start hearing about problems after this time frame, I'll let you know on the show. I'll say, stop now, there's a problem, careful. And it could be as bad as you losing everything. It could be as bad as you becoming Typhoid Mary. It could be ransomware. There's all sorts of things, potentially. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Did you buy some stuff for Black Friday? You want to talk about that? I'm here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm really hesitant to mention this, and yet I think if I don't, I'm doing you a disservice. But I guess I have to tell you all the ins and outs. So apparently Microsoft, even though, remember, when Windows 10 came out, for the first year, it was a free upgrade for Windows 7 users. But then they turned it off, or they said they turned it off. And I kept hearing rumors, well, it kind of still works. And I'm still hearing those rumors. Somebody who claimed to be in the know at Microsoft posted on Reddit saying, yeah, Microsoft is so anxious to get people off of 7 and onto 10. Terry Myerson, who runs the Windows division, is much more interested in having big upgrade numbers than in the money, the revenue they're making from the upgrade. It's a $90 upgrade that they're not really checking. So I will tell you this. I'll tell you what you can do, possibly. I'll also tell you what could possibly go wrong. But what seems to be the case is people go to Microsoft's site and download the Windows Media Creation tool and Windows 10, the latest version of Windows 10. It'll be 1903, or actually be 1909 now, I think. Yeah, they download that, and you need to make it a bootable USB drive, out of it, and you need to tell your machine, boot to the USB drive. Do not erase Windows 7. This does not work on an empty disk, a blank disk. You have to be installing Windows 10 on top of Windows 7. And apparently, I'm not going to say in every case, but it seems to be in most cases, at that point when you install Windows 10 on top of your old Windows 7 that's about to expire, it will not only install properly, but it will activate. And this is the key. And you have to, right-click on the Start menu and go to System and look and see if it's activated, or go into this Control Panel, see if it's activated. Once it's activated, you own Windows 10 on that machine. You're done. In fact, if you want, at that point, you can wipe the drive and start with a clean install of Windows 10. I know a lot of people prefer that. Back up your data first, of course. Because once a machine has been activated as a legitimate Windows 10 machine, it is forever, always. There's no serial number anymore. You might need to, when you get the Windows Media Creation tool, if it asks you for a serial number, don't give it anything. In the worst case, what will happen here is you'll get Windows 10 on there and it won't activate. And in that case, you'll have 60 days, I think, to use it, and then decide if you want to pay for it. So the prudent person would back up your Windows 7, make a complete backup of your Windows 7, just in case, so you can go back. Now, there are people, Steve in San Diego is in our chat room, said, just worked for me 2 days ago. He says he did a clean install and it activated. So all I know is what I've read, which is that you recommended that you install on top of Windows 7. You can make a clean install later. The worst case is it doesn't activate, then you need to pay $90, or is it more? I think it's $130 for Windows 7. Windows 10. You really don't want to be using Windows 7. This is worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you have Windows 7, you install Windows 10 on top of it, it works, it activates, you're done. Windows 10 is great. I think people who are Windows 7 fans and skipped Windows 8 for very good reason will be happy with Windows 10. Yeah, the tablet mode's in there. Some of the things that made Windows 8 awful are in there. But it's hidden away in a way that I think does a good job. It really looks and feels like Windows 7. Very close to it. So do not go to eBay, as some of our listeners have done, and buy a serial number for $5. Don't do that. That doesn't work. It's a bad idea. If you're going to do it, you want to do it the legit way. But before you pull the trigger, you might just try this upgrade, because as far as I can tell, it's free. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Back to the phones we go. Gary in Buffalo, New York. Hey, Gary.
Hi, Leo. I took your advice and redid my hard drive the other day.
Okay.
But I decided to check something. I've been having a problem for about a year accessing a government or local government database. I could only access it if I signed on with a non-Microsoft account. And I thought maybe if I redo maybe something was wrong, but it turns out it wasn't. It's still the same way. In fact, I just bought a new secondary computer, and it has the same problem. For some reason, if you're on a Microsoft account, when you go to use this database, it starts operating, then just stops. Nothing happens. It won't load. If you get off your Microsoft account, and just use a local account, it works fine, no problem.
That's just weird. I have no idea why it's doing that.
I was wondering if there's some settings in Microsoft. Like with Google, there's settings, for other programs.
It could be. It could be also that. So remember, one of the things that happens when you log in with a Microsoft account to your Windows machine is it copies all the settings. Those are stored globally and copied from machine to machine. The reason this is a problem is because as of 1903, you can't. It's very hard. You have to really trick Windows to let it use a local account. If you install a new version of Windows, go out and get a new computer. It's not gonna show you the use a local account feature anymore. You have to use a Microsoft account. So I would call the city fathers. Say,
oh, no, don't. I've tried that.
Oh, okay.
No,
here, I'll give you a couple of possibilities. One may be, clearly it's misconfigured, by the way, and that's why the city fathers need to know about this. There's something misconfigured in that local database. It may be that they're running that local database on Microsoft's Azure, on Microsoft's cloud, and it sees your account and says, well, you're not authorized to use this. It may be something as dumb as that, but that's a misconfiguration. That's all I can think of. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt, photo guy, coming up. That's just weird. And it said it's on more than one machine, right?
Oh yeah, I tried it on, and I actually changed IP providers in the meantime since then, so it's the same issue. You know, I was on Spectrum, then I went to T-Mobile, and it doesn't matter which one you use, it doesn't work. And that database can only be accessed using Internet Explorer. You can't use Google Chrome. They tell you that.
Oh man, that's bad too. This is a mess. Because Internet Explorer is deprecated.
I know, and that's the only thing you can use to get to it. But
yeah, they're using some ancient technology that uses IE. Oh, this is a mess. But you know, this is. By the way, the good news is they'll probably be hit by ransomware any day now, and you won't have to worry. You won't have to worry about it anymore. They're clearly way out of way over their heads in the IT space. This is a big problem. Do you know what brand of database it is? Do you know anything about it at all? The behind the scenes?
Yeah, when you go to sign in, it comes up. You have to install the program into Internet Explorer.
Oh yeah, they're using some like ActiveX or something. Oh my God.
Yeah, weird. And I'm an attorney, and it's the database we access the county files.
Oh Lord. So you've called the county clerk, and what? What does he say?
Yeah, he says we have an instruction sheet on the website. Follow it. And
they don't know. That's why. Yeah. Is there an IT department? I mean, is it?
That is the IT department. The one who tells you.
Oh my God! You know what's terrifying is there's probably a lot of private information in that database.
Well, no, it's all
public record. Okay.
In other words, if I want to look up a deed, I can look up. You don't have to be registered to get the basic information like your name, the date of the deed. But if you want to see the deed, you got to pay $5 for it. You have to be registered. And so mostly it's just attorneys who do it. But I don't know if everybody else is having this problem now with Windows.
So when you're logged in is the problem.
You can't log in to the registered section where you can download copies of deeds using a Microsoft account.
Wow.
I have to log on to a local account that I created, and then it works. And you're able to log in, and your account has nothing to do with your Microsoft account. Yeah,
I wonder if here's one theory. It's a weird theory. IE stores passwords. It might be it's logging you in, or it has cookies. Here's what I would try is in your Microsoft account, clear IE. Like get rid of all the cookies, all the password information. Make sure IE is a clean install. You could actually do that by creating, it might copy it over. I think what's happening is IE has cookies of your previous login or something like that. And so when you log in with your local account, the Microsoft account isn't copying your data over. It's not copying your cookies. So you want to clear IE's storage completely. Let me see how you do that. It might be launching it with the Shift key down. It might be... What version of IE is it?
It's the latest.
Current? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Control-Shift-Delete while you're in IE will give you a chance to delete browser history. I would delete everything. The cache, I would delete the cookies, and then try it. I bet you those are being copied over from your Microsoft account. And it's an old cookie. It's got to be that. It's got to be a cookie.
Yeah, it's got to be something. Then my last question for you was, when I set up this local account, it works fine, no problem. But is there any way just to copy all of my desktop settings and everything to the local? I looked on it, and it looks like that's grayed out. The copy part is grayed out.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're...
I got to run because we got to take another segment here. Let me think about that. If I can think of it, I'll tell you. Hello, Chris Marquardt.
Hello, how are you?
Great to talk to my favorite photo guy. I was just saying, I finished my photos from our vacation in record time.
And I'm so proud of you.
And I want to, well, I owe it to you.
Cool.
And I want to tell everybody to get, because you offer this ebook for free.
Yes. 1 hour, 1000pics.com.
1 hour. And is it the number one?
Number one, HOUR 1000
100PICS.com.
Yeah.
We'll put in the show notes.
I think I registered 3 different domains just to make sure to catch all the typos. So, and it's not. If you look inside, it's an easy read. It's quick. It gives you a bit of a framework to work through a lot of pictures in a short time. I wrote this years ago, so it's based on 3 versions older Lightroom, but it still works just fine. So
I think the
even
premise
if you don't
is
use
what
Lightroom,
you need. Yeah, you don't have. It's not about the applications you're using.
It's not about the tool, not at all. No,
it's about the idea of how you cull photos. And when I came back, it has thousands of photos, and almost always what I do is I put it off. This time, following your recipe, I was able to get through them. It's kind of
disconcerting if you have this wall of pictures in front of you. And
well, you know what I don't want to do, and I got to get over it, is I don't want to throw out a good one. Problem is, I wouldn't know if I have a good one because it's a pile.
but now you do, because you know the method.
and well, even if maybe one that I didn't identify as a good one goes by the wayside, I'm really happy with it. I think it ended up being 40, maybe less, 24 photos that I really like. And when I look through them, it makes me happy. It gives me the memory. I feel good about the composition, the color. I feel like they're well shot, and so it makes me happy. So out of sight, out of mind. I'll just forget that great $1 million shot that I threw out by accident. I'll just forget it.
There is no such thing as the $1 million shot. Not really.
No, I agree. What do you want to talk about today? I just wanted to thank you for that and tell people about it.
I'm glad it's working for you.
Yes.
Last week, we talked about winter photography and a few tips of what you can do when you go outside and take photos. But, I mean, let's face it, there's not a lot of light right now. So a lot of people kind of don't have the drive to go outside and shoot. And it's cold. And so let's stay indoors. And I've thought up 3 little project ideas that work really well indoors, and I want to go through them. First is the hands project. Get someone to model their hands for you. Photos of hands they tell stories. They are wonderful. You can do them inside. You can just use a simple desk lamp or something to light them. You can play and experiment with that. Try shooting that in black and white. Older hands. Oh man, they tell stories.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a craftsperson in your family,
it's like
and
a roadmap.
someone with their tools, with dirty hands. That's just a great project,
love that.
And it'll bring you together with someone, and it's a great way to spend time and then end up having awesome photos. But you need to spend some time with that. So that's the first one. Second one is kind of along the lines of what you've done. Take some time to group your photos. And the best way to do this is pretend you have a photo exhibition coming up, and then sit down and try to find themes in your catalog of photos, because you have these thousands.
Oh, yeah, blue could be a theme.
Like blue, or could be people, or could be hands, or maybe, I don't know, some sort of sports activity, or you'd like to shoot tabletop stuff. I mean, chances are you kind of know what the theme is, but then for other people, they might not know what the theme is until they start looking for it, and then they find it, and all of a sudden you found the thing that works for you, and then they get bonus points for actually printing some of those and then doing a little real exhibition, right? Maybe at home, or maybe, I don't know, at a cafe around the corner. There's so many places where you could ask to exhibit a few photos. And last but not least, have you ever looked into toy photography?
You mean
if you go to YouTube and put in the term toy photography, there are some great artists out there that turn toys and tabletops into amazing scenes. I'm talking action figures, that kind of stuff, into amazing scenes set in beautiful landscapes.
Oh, cool.
And it doesn't take much. It takes a tripod. You need some cardboard, some glue, some paint, a couple of desk lamps. And some of these artists even work with like small table fireworks and some sparklers and things to create explosions in their photos. Some I don't know, vaping smoke and stuff. You get real amazing action scenes this way. And again, YouTube, search for toy photography. There's a couple of videos by tested.com, but there's also others. It's one of those genres that everyone can get started in. You don't need much. You can do this with your smartphone. You can do this with very little ingredients. Even the lighting. I mean, that's the nice thing. It's small, so you don't need big lights. You can use small lights. You can use tiny lights.
Everything's
you can get
tiny, yeah.
Really good effect.
So when you say toy, it's not toy as in Lego. It's toy as in toy poodle. It's small.
Oh, could be even Legos. I've seen great stuff. I mean, there's Lego movies. Why not do Lego photography?
True.
You can set up scenes. You can set up all sorts of stuff. You can. I mean, this could lead into stop motion and all other sorts of things. But
and a perfect winter activity. You can do it all inside. Yeah.
Indoors. So the hands again. This is one that has really a lot of potential. Not just for bringing together, but for teaching you something about photography and about lighting. The grouping of your photos, finding themes, and the toy photography. Those are my three suggestions for dark, cold winter days.
Do you do this toy photography? Do you have some?
Just a little. I mean, tabletop in general. That's more like on the product side. So I haven't really done these toyscapes. But
I'm thinking what kind of toy I would use. My friend Andy Anako has some toy cows, and whenever he travels, he brings the cows around.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah, I know them.
And puts them places. Yeah. So that's one way you could do it. But I like the idea. There was a movie, wasn't there, about, I think Steve Carell was the guy who made a whole toy town and stuff. And I can't remember. I didn't see it, but it was
rings a bell.
Last year, I think. Yeah. I love this idea. So let's get some toys and or hands, which is also easily available, widely available, and take some indoor pictures.
Could even be your own hand.
We do have an assignment, and we want people to take pictures in our assignment. What is the assignment this month?
The current assignment is hot, and I think it's one or two more weeks until we review the assignment. And while you're at it, in the Tech Guy group on Flickr, there's also a thread where readers, listeners suggest new assignments. So there are already some great suggestions for the letter I. Everyone can participate in that as well.
So the way this works, you're going to hot. It's good. This is a good challenge for the winter. It doesn't have to be actually hot, right? You can decide what hot means to you, but you want to take a picture that illustrates that concept or the word or whatever makes sense to you. When you get a really good one, once a week, which means you got a couple more weeks to do this, you upload your best, tag it with the word TG Hot, and upload it to Flickr, our Flickr group. Renee Silverman, the moderator, and then Chris is going to review them in a couple of weeks. He'll pick 3 to talk about. Thank you, Chris. DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. That's a great idea. That sounds like fun. I like hands. I can definitely do that one. And toys sounds like fun too.
Hands, old people's hands, crafts people's hands. I mean, they have.
I'll volunteer.
So
I'm an old person. I got old hands. It's funny as you get older, your hands really start to show the story of your life, if you will. Yeah. You're not old enough yet. No, you're not old enough yet. You got a way to go.
I'm 50. I'm
50. So old. My 63rd birthday was Friday.
Oh,
that's old. Now I'm starting to think. This isn't going to end. It's every year I'm going to get older.
Well, nothing you can do. You're young inside. That's what counts.
Yeah, no, I am. The podcast today brought to you by LastPass. I'm so excited because I have been a LastPass fan. I started using them when they first came out. It's been about 10 years, and I proselytized for years. I told everybody, you got to get LastPass. I remember it was about 5 or 6 years ago, I went to Steve Gibson. He went to Joe Segrist, the creator of LastPass. Joe showed him all the code, showed him what he's doing. And Steve said, this is exactly the way to do password management. LastPass. I'm excited because we've known them for years. I've used them for a decade. They've been an advertiser for years, and they just agreed to sponsor the studio. So we're gonna be now the LastPass Studios. It'll still be Twit, but it'll come to you from this studio and Studio A as the LastPass Studios, not the East Side Studios anymore. Never did like East Side Studios anyway. So that's really great. That's a great partnership, a company we love and a company that wants to support us in our mission to bring you the best tech information. Thank you, LastPass. LastPass is the password manager. It helps millions of individuals, 58,000 organizations navigate their online lives easily and securely. And what I love about LastPass, and we use it in the enterprise, we use it here at Twit, we have for years, is it does something that, usually you don't think of security as able to do. It not only protects you, it gives you high security, it also gives you more convenience, not less. Businesses can maximize productivity and still maintain effortless, strong security with LastPass. See, the problem is when you're in a business, every user could compromise your security single-handedly. If you give them the passwords to your bank account, to your website, to your database, they got the keys to the kingdom. And when there's more devices, more applications, more networks, more users, that just means it's more complex, more risky, and productivity can just dwindle. Because, I forgot my password. We got one guy here who forgets his password all the time. I won't name names. But those lockouts mean he can't get anything done until we reset the password. Well, normally they would, but LastPass can minimize the risk. They make it easy. Our IT team gets a break. Users can reset their own passwords. We don't have anywhere near the problems. We can monitor everything that's being done. They have great authentication solutions that let you, not just two-factor, but multi-factor, that let you understand how your users are using LastPass or using the internet. And the authentication will adapt to each user. So it in effect, it knows who you are. And that's what authentication is all about, through a variety of means. You also can manage and control user access for all the access points in your organization. The IT department loves to know that. For instance, our business department can't access our website, and our website engineers can't access our checking account. That's how it should be. Their identity solutions offer a simple integrated view across all access and authentication tasks, so we know as managers who's accessing what, when, and where. Huge for security, right? This is the way to actively manage every password in your business. The idea of keeping this on a spreadsheet or putting a sticky note on your or post-it note on your screen, this is terrible, and that's what users will do unless you give them a better solution. It makes it easy for us to add and remove team members. When Robin joined our accounting team, set her up in seconds. She had all the passwords shared with her because she was added to that group. And by the way, I love this. She's a new employee. We're not going to say, well, here's the password of the bank account. Good luck. No. With LastPass, she gets access to the accounts without getting the passwords. Every employee gets their own vault. In fact, we think so much of LastPass that for years we've offered as, even before they were an advertiser, as a benefit of employment, your own personal vault as well as the enterprise. Because I want all our employees to use LastPass at home. I want you to all use LastPass at home as well as at work. And it's so safe, I put everything in there. We put everything in there. Wi-Fi logins, software licenses, employee IDs, socials, everything. I put my personal social in my LastPass. I put my driver's license and passport in my LastPass. When I travel, I've got my passport with me, but it's encrypted. It's secure. So I don't have to worry about losing control of it. But if I lose my passport, I've got my passport in LastPass. I just think it's the best thing in the world. LastPass has a great business lineup. They've just expanded it with some amazing features that'll improve security across your company without compromising convenience. I love that. Look, I've said enough. LastPass.com/twit. Find out how they can help you. LastPass.com/twit. And use that URL. Let them know you're grateful that LastPass keeps these shows flowing. We really need LastPass. They've really helped us over the last few years. And studio naming rights, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. LastPass.com/twit. Thank you, LastPass. We get a little crazy in California when we get to our rainy season, especially if it's been a long, dry, hot summer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Lady Laura, the music director. Well done, Lady Laura. Jerry, Hatfield, Pennsylvania. Hello, Jerry. Leo Laporte.
Hi, Leo. The first question is, what is that directly behind you with the flashing LEDs?
What if you what?
What is that device behind you?
The thing behind me. Yeah. That's kind of a fun little computer history device.
It looks like a crystal scanner.
Yeah. What it really is a mock-up of one of the most important computers of the personal computer era. It's a PDP-11, which was one of the last mini computers. And it's created by a guy named Oscar Vermeulen. He did a lot of research, was able to create an almost identical replica of the front of a PDP. This PDP comes from a day and age when you had lights in the front to tell you what the computer was doing, and below those lights you might be able to see some switches, and that's how you entered into the computer the very first program, the bootloader program. You actually, in those days, if we wanted to use one of these things, you had to flip those switches in the proper sequence, several hundred instructions, and then press go, and it would load the bootloader, and then you could put a paper tape in, and it would read the rest of the program. And that was a lot of work. And believe me, you weren't playing Star Wars. You were doing very basic calculation. This one's actually kind of cool because he sells these kits. It has a Raspberry Pi, one of those little $35 computers behind it, emulating a PDP-11, and it's actually faster than that multi-$1,000 mini computer, but it's running in the background. So that's what that is. I think it's kind of fun. People are saying, well, how's he seeing that? Well, we do stream a video of the show at live, actually twit.tv/live. So I guess you're watching.
Okay, my problem.
Yes.
I have an old HTC cell phone. I love it. But I'm tired of all the bloatware, and I'm thinking of rooting it, but
great idea.
In case I brick it, does any manufacturer sell a rooted cell phone, Android?
No, but some different manufacturers have different policies about this. So let me explain what you're talking about to those who are wondering what he's talking about.
Right.
And then I'll tell you what you can do here. So rooting is not, there's two things you can do to cell phones. On an Apple iPhone, you can do something called a jailbreak. And a jailbreak does one thing and one thing only. It lets you use a store other than Apple's store. But on an Android device, all Android devices, we already can do that. We can sideload apps from any location at all. You just have to go into the settings and turn that feature on. Rooting is even more of a change to the phone. It gives you super user capabilities, admin capabilities, root user capabilities. Those are the same thing, three terms for the same thing, the ability to do anything, including get yourself in trouble. But generally, when people root an Android phone, they're doing it because they want to install software that requires higher privileges, things like backup programs or things like that. Yeah, I used to root my phones routinely because then you can do different, for instance, as with your HTC, there are different ROMs, different firmware you can install. Once you have root access, you can make it you can change the whole personality of the phone. It's still Android, but it's not HTC's Android. It could be somebody else's Android, often an enthusiast's Android. So that's a fun thing to do, especially with an older phone. The risk of bricking it is low, but it is there. And of course, any rooting guide will say, we're not responsible if you turn your phone into an expensive piece of glass. So there is always that risk. Different phone manufacturers have different opinions about rooting. Google with Android has always said it's fine. We don't have a problem with rooting. But some manufacturers do. In fact, even change their minds from time to time. Samsung didn't mind rooting early on and then started putting software on there that would tell you it's rooted. Partly that's because they had a new security system called Knox, and they couldn't guarantee Knox was secure once you've rooted the phone. So they wanted to preserve the integrity of their phone. Generally, what I do is go to xda-developers.com. That's a really good forum, and almost every model of phone is represented there, and they'll have rooting guides, and they'll talk about how hard it is. On some phones, like the OnePlus phones, it used to be as easy as going to a site, an official site from OnePlus, and getting a root key, and it was a very simple thing to do. I think in recent times they've made it a little bit harder to root OnePlus phones, but I would check because those are great hardware, great phones, and they've generally been pretty open to the idea of rooting them. It's your phone. You should absolutely be able to root it. Apple does not like jailbreaking. They say it's risky. It damages the phone. It makes it prone to spyware, and most importantly, you can put software on there you didn't get from Apple. I think that's fine. I don't do it generally. Rooting an Android phone is not nearly as dangerous, but
no manufacturer sells a phone that's already rooted.
Not that I know of. No.
Yeah.
But different manufacturers make it different levels of difficulty. As I said, OnePlus is pretty easy. I think I don't know of any phone that's sold rooted. But with the OnePlus, rooting it simply meant going to a website, getting a number, and entering it into the root me in the settings. So that's practically rooted, right? They just didn't want a casual user to get into trouble by accidentally pressing a button.
I want to get rid of all my damn bloatware.
Well, that's the best way to do it, because once you're root, you can delete anything. You know, sometimes you'll buy a phone from Samsung and they have, you know, or HTC. They're kind of out of business these days, but they'll have a lot of their apps on it, and they're often duplicates of what Google's already put on there, right? But they don't let you delete them. There's no way to delete them unless you're root. If you're root, you can delete anything you want. That's both the risk and the reward of being a super user. It's your phone. I think it's worth doing on that. Which HTC is it?
I have the One M8.
See, I loved the M7, and the M8 was very good. That HTC One.
I like it for its IR blaster.
Yes, the sound is fantastic, and you can use it as a remote control. And it had some really interesting camera capabilities, and it was beautiful. It was a unibody aluminum. It was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. I think that was one of the great phones. That's worth rooting, and I bet you can without any real risk.
All right, Leo.
All right,
well,
have fun.
I'm in trouble.
My pleasure. I'm a big fan. I used to do that routinely. In fact, as I remember, I rooted my HTC One. Partly to remove that stupid software that they insist on putting in there. That's changed, by the way. Nowadays, people do not insist as much as they used to. Samsung still does, but the OnePlus, I think the OnePlus 7 Pro might be the best Android phone out there, and it's pretty clean. It doesn't have a lot of junk on it. I use a Google Pixel 4. That's also pretty clean. It has Google stuff on it, but not a lot else. I don't know. I can't remember how hard it is to root these the Pixel 4, but I bet you it's not too hard. And again, the definitive source for all of this is xda-developers.com. And what you should do is get the exact model number of your phone. This is important. He knew it was the M8. But you might even want more, because there may be an M8 that was made for Europe, an M8 made for the Middle East, an M8 made for the U.S. Those are all technically different models. So you get the exact model number of your phone and enter that into the search bar at the XDA developers site, and you'll go right to the thread where it talks about that specific model. And the people there are very helpful. They'll tell you, well, here's how you root it, here's the risk, here's what works, here's what doesn't work. Sometimes rooting a phone breaks things. It generally will break security, of course, because now, you know, any security policy is unenforceable because you can do anything you want. But after all, isn't that the point? This one got on Flickr Explorer. Yeah, I'm messing with it. That was a highlight. Got a bunch of likes. So all of a sudden I'm getting all these likes. I don't know why. Then I realized it was on Flickr Explorer. I didn't even think that was my best shot by any means, but I think it's kind of random. I like this shot better. I think that's cool. And I think this is a fun shot. Actually, I like all of these. I think my favorite is this one. This is one I think I want to print. You have to print it big. That's on the in the crevice on the way to Petra. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yes, it's time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We're going to just do a lot of phone calls here. Let's start with line 4. And Gary in Costa Mesa, California. Hello, Gary.
Happy Sunday, Leo.
Happy Sunday.
I'm Gary in Costa Mesa.
Happy December, believe it or not.
Yeah, it sure is.
Wow.
I quit saying this is Gary because the voice recognition always makes it sound like my name is Scary. But I also, first step here is to wish you a belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
Even though you don't like to have your birthday recognized, you can't help it. It happens anyway. So
happens no matter what. Exactly. I shouldn't make a big deal about it, but you know, when you get to a certain age, you don't really want to acknowledge it. That's the real problem.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm older than you are, though. Doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother you?
Anyway.
Yeah, I guess it's better than the alternative, is what my wife says.
Yeah, that's right. If I may make a comment on Chris's talk there.
Yeah.
I was talking to Kim when he was talking about sorting the photos.
Yes.
So I missed what that was. Would you be able to take a minute
I can give you a little
review?
thumbnail of it because I just use it. And I was it started because I was thanking him. You know, we came back from a 3-week trip. I took more than 1,000 photos, actually closer to 3,000 photos. And generally when I get back from a trip like that, it's fun to take the pictures and I like to look at them, but I don't like going through them and picking the winners and then getting rid of the losers. Now, that's pretty easy to do.
Here too.
Yeah, we all have this. It's pretty easy to do when something's just bad, like out of focus, or it's a picture of your thumb because you had your finger on the lens. But there's still plenty of maybe 1,000 photos where, and this is what's hard for me, I look at them and I go, that could actually be a good photo. I don't know. Is it good? I don't know. I asked a professional once, a very good photographer I knew who worked at National Geographic. And he said, I wait for it to kick me in the gut. He said, I know it's a good photo if I go, oh. And so but now he's a really good photographer. My photos aren't that good. So I don't often get that feeling of, wow, oh, ooh. But I know what he was saying. So what Chris's method is, and you can, by the way, download his free ebook, and we'll put the link in the show notes at techguylabs.com, but it's 1hour1000pics.com. And the numbers are numbers, not spelled out. So 1hour1000pics.com. And he's got an ebook. He's got video. He uses Lightroom, but any program will work. In fact, it works great with Apple's Photos. It works great with Google Photos. But the idea is you need something that you can load up all your pictures in, and this is the key, and move quickly between them, while indicating as you move a rating. Now, I modified his process slightly, but these are the ratings I gave. 0 means it's a reject. It's gone. It's out. You know, it's out of focus, or it's just I don't see how I can make that be interesting, whatever. 1, though, is a pretty low bar. If I rank a photo with 1 star, that means, yeah, I'm going to save it because it's our photo album. And I'm going to see it in the photo frames. I can see it when I look at Google Photos or Apple Photos. No one else will want to see this. I wouldn't show it to relatives even. It's not that great, but I want it because it's a historic record. It's a memory for me. If I give it 2 stars, now I think it's good enough to share in public. It's probably okay. In my case, I put it on Flickr. You might say it's okay for Instagram or Facebook. And then 3 stars, and that's as high as I go. 3 stars means this. I think this is that. That's a great photo. I'm gonna keep. That's one I want to not only keep, but I might want to spend some time editing, popping up the color a little bit, making sure the white balance is correct. Spend some time making it look better. That's a 3. So 0 through 3 stars, and you do it pretty quick. This is the key. He says 1 hour for 1,000 pictures. I'm not that fast, but pretty quickly. And the idea, if you can find a program that'll do this, where you rank it and it moves to the next one, rank it and moves to the next one, that's the best way to do it. I use a program on the Mac, it's available on Windows too, called Fast Raw Viewer, that's very quick at this and very quick at rating. And furthermore, I can easily use it to then import it into my editing program of choice. So Fast Raw Viewer is what I use. He recommends Lightroom. It works fine with Lightroom. My problem with Lightroom is it's a little slow, and I need to be fast, but it's the same idea. Rank it, move on, rank it, move on, rank it, move on. Now, rejects, the 0s, I don't throw away right away. I put them in a folder. I don't want to have them in Apple Photos or Google Photos because I'll see them. in my slideshow or when I'm browsing around, and they're just not that good. So I put those aside, maybe not throw them out for a while just because they're my babies and I don't want to throw them out. The ones I immediately post, to Flickr or Instagram or whatever. The 2s and 3s I want to work on with Lightroom or whatever photo editing program you like. Lately I like Skylum. Makes a couple of programs I really like for Mac and Windows called Luminar and Aurora, which is an HDR program. That's Skylum. So I've been using those. And so then those I will clean up. And then what I'm happy about is I was able to pare 1,000 more photos down to about 24 that I really like. I'm thinking you want a few enough that you could put it in a book, because that's the best thing to do. Remember, we don't do that anymore. Remember when you get prints, you'd put them in a photo album. So that's what you're looking for. What are the ones you're willing to put those little corners on the page, glue them down, and put the photo in there? Those are good enough to save.
Yeah. Or the plastic pages with the slots.
Just slide them in. Yeah.
Just slide them in.
Nowadays, I don't do that anymore, but almost all, all the programs have a way to order photo books, or you can go to Shutterfly.com. That's great photo books, Photo, or you take them over to Costco, get a photo book, put that on the coffee table. Our trip,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just really a nice way to keep those around. I don't know if my kids are going to care. One thing I know for sure, they're not going to care about the 1,000 photos I threw out. So, I think my real realization is if you pare it down to just a handful, those really stand out. You're not overwhelming people. You're saying, no, this is the one. Look at these. These are good enough to look at. And even for me, oh, yeah, that is a pretty good photo because it's not surrounded by 20 other photos. It stands out.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think?
Yeah, well, that sounds good. It sounds like you don't have the heart to throw away any in the trash.
I don't. They're my babies. This is the hardest thing about any artistic endeavor, whether you're a writer, a filmmaker, a photographer.
Yeah.
Every one of those is your babies, every word on the page. But a good writer throws away more words than he keeps, right?
Yeah. Well, that's right. I have to get the heart, though, because I don't have any children to pass them on to, so I'll just have to get rid of them and save the best of them.
Even if you do, they don't want them. I can tell you right now, Henry and Abby, my 2 kids, have I try to show them these pictures. They go, yeah, Dad. Now let's talk about something else. So you don't fantasize that there'll be some fascination in the next generation. It's not the case. They don't care. But I like it's for me, right? And mostly it's for the future me. This is what I finally realized. It's in a year or 2 or 5 or 10. So I can look back at this trip and go, yeah, we had a great time. See that? Wasn't that beautiful? That's what that's for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think I'm setting up my final residence. So I'm going to set up a little museum. And
there you go. Things. There you go. And it'll be fun for you, I think, to go back through these memories.
Yeah.
And you won't want to move as fast, will you? Because you want to relish each photo and each memory.
Well, fast is necessary because I have a whole lot of other things to do. But I want to do them with someone else. Right now, I don't have anybody
we'll get
personally with me, so I want to get somebody to show them to for the last time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I bet you there's somebody who wants to see Gary's photos. What's your favorite? What's your favorite thing to take pictures of? What do you think your best pictures are going to be of?
Well, I don't have many more to take. I have lots of them to review, but I've taken a lot of photos of boats.
There you go.
And things. I was in the Navy at the time of Vietnam, so I was everywhere.
You'll have some very important
in the Far East.
Yeah, you'll have historic pictures.
I know, and I've tried to find somebody who's interested in the story of the ones in Japan and Taiwan and Singapore and those places. But
what if you did this?
Don't know what to do with them.
What if when you find those 10 or 15 or 100 pictures that you really think are good, you wrote a little paragraph with each one about where you were, what you were doing, what the scene was like? Then you've got a book.
Yeah,
I mean, a book you could publish.
I brought home a tour book of the whole area, so I could relate the tour book to the photos
there you
at
go.
the time.
There you go.
So that brings up another thing which I hadn't called about. Can I make a library of some things and send them to you to add to your library?
Sure. I'd love, you know what, Gary? Share them with me. I'd love to see them.
Oh, okay.
And I'll show them on the air, because we do a live video stream along with the radio show, and anybody's watching the live video stream. How about that, Gary? Send me. Don't send me 1,000. Send me. Here's your assignment: 20 of your best.
20 of the best. Okay.
And I'd love to hear the story with each one. How's that sound?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Share them with me. I'd love to see.
Very important.
I'd love to see
thing to do.
And thank you for your service in Vietnam.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was a generation that really sacrificed.
Yeah, I find that there's a lot more appreciation now of it than there was back then. All right.
And we have some people in the chat room who say they want to see your book too. Gary, go get on it. I got to run, but I appreciate the call. That's your assignment. I want to see 20 of your best and the story behind them. My daughter says, you should journal, Dad. I said, are you going to read it when I'm dead? No. Well, what? Who am I writing for? I don't want to journal. She said, you're writing for your future self so you can look back. Okay, well, whatever. It's hard. I'll take pictures if you don't mind. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. We're going to get Gary to send us his photos. I'll send it out to anybody who wants. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That was sweet. Did you hear that one? No. So Gary is an older fella who we were talking with Chris Marquardt as 1 hour, 1,000 photos, what you do and what I did for the first time ever, right. And I thanked Chris. I said, it really worked. I buckled down, and it really helps. But Gary said, no, I don't have anybody, and I don't have any kids. Nobody wants to see my pictures. I was in Vietnam. I have lots of pictures of, I was in the Navy. Oh, I should have said set up a blog. That's a great idea. What was I thinking? He said, can I send them to you? I said, yeah, send me your 20 best with the story, and I'll show them on the air. That's a good point. That's a good point. A blog would be really a good idea. Our podcast today brought to you by Wasabi. I was just talking yesterday at the event, at Steve's event with Network Administrator, and I asked him what he used. And of course, he uses S3, right? I said, it's the default. He said, nobody ever gets, it's like IBM. Nobody ever got fired by choosing Amazon. I said, but it's not the best. No, but it's the default. There's really 3 cloud services everybody knows: Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. I want to introduce you to a 4th that's better. That's better. That saves you money, that is more efficient, has the features you want at a lower cost. It's called Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. W-A-S-A-B-I. Yeah, like the hot stuff they put on your sushi. Wasabi is low-cost, high-speed, fully secured storage that blows away the competition. Gartner Group says in the next 5 years, almost all enterprises will have shut down their own data centers to replace them with the cloud. That's up from 10% right now. People are moving to the cloud in droves. And I feel bad because they're just doing it like a herd of cattle, all doing the same thing when they should know about Wasabi. Wasabi addresses, first, I'll tell you what the boss is worried about. Is it as secure as our local storage? And I think you can say with an absolute straight face, it's more secure, boss. Your on-prem storage has all sorts of potential problems, not to mention ransomware, fumbled-fingered employees. Wasabi Cloud Storage solves all these problems. You can designate storage as immutable. That means even if ransomware got everything in the office, it can't touch the data in Wasabi. That's great peace of mind. Wasabi also does regular integrity checks on every single file. So those files, you're guaranteed, are accurate. And they, of course, they keep it on multiple redundant data centers. So if a file reports, oh, the integrity's damaged, they've got a copy. They can fix it without your even worrying about it. Wasabi's enterprise-class cloud storage, it's 80% cheaper and up to 6 times faster than the better-known brands. That's all because they've got a patent on how to write to disks that they created, David Friend and Jeff Flowers created and patented, and it gives them high-efficiency, high-speed storage, and no one else can use it. 11 nines of durability. You cannot get better than that. It's secure. It's probably more secure than your on-prem, so much so that it's HIPAA compliant, CJIS compliant, FINRA compliant, whatever the regulations are in your industry. Wasabi does it. It uses the S3 API, so you already know how to use it. All your S3 apps will work fine with it, but unlike S3, they don't charge you for API access. They don't charge you, this is another way you save, they don't charge you for egress at all. What? Yeah, that's why you save. Look, I know it's hard to go to the boss and say, we're going to use Wasabi, but I want you to try it. And I think if you tell him or her the benefits, you can get them to say, well, all right, you know, maybe we should save money and get a better service. WASABI, click the free trial link there, wasabi.com. Use the offer code TWIT. Normally, they give you a terabyte of unlimited storage for a month to try it out. This will be unlimited, not a terabyte, but unlimited storage for a month. So you can really bang on it. Put a bunch of stuff up there. Try to break it. Wasabi.com. Click the free trial link, enter the code TWIT. Join the movement. Migrate your data to the cloud, but do it with confidence at Wasabi. Wasabi.com. Got to use the offer code TWIT so they know you heard it here. Wasabi. It's hot. Wasabi. It's that time of year. You know what I'm talking about. The Starbucks seasonal cups. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. One other thing, and my wife came running in. She said, tell Gary to make a blog. What? Of course. Of course. I should have thought of that. It's a new form of publishing. It's just like making a book, but it's making a book that anybody on the internet can see. And if you do it right, you know, you say Vietnam, you say Navy, you say naval vessels, you know, have phrases in there that people will find and search, you'll probably get hundreds of people, if not thousands, coming to see it. And the thing is, it'll survive you. It'll stay there. So my suggestion is to make it somewhere free, so you don't get a bill every month or every year. And when you're no longer with us, it'll continue on. You know, people do that with Facebook. In fact, Facebook has a whole process for memorializing a Facebook page and stuff. But my suggestion is to do actually what Lisa does, my wife does, which is create a free blog at Blogger, which is a Google property, blogspot.com. It's very easy to set up. They make great photo blogs. In fact, if you want to see what Lisa's done, lifeoflisa.com. And there's pictures of me there and her kids and, you know, all that stuff. Lifeoflisa.com. And she has a very, very good habit when we travel of posting to that regularly along the way. She uses Instagram and Facebook too, but her blog is really the place where she puts her kind of life story. And that's what we need, Gary. This is, forget writing a book. The new way to do it is to make a blog. And if you want some inspiration for how you could do it, go to lifeoflisa.com, which is Lisa's site. And you could see her pictures. She's a very good photographer, but it's also a really good way to put those pictures up. And it's free. It's Blogger. Makes little galleries. You could put as much text or as little text as you want. I do suggest that you at least caption every photo. Put a year if you know it, a date if you know it. And if there's more, as you do this, I suspect what will happen is you'll go, oh, yeah, I remember that. And you might think of a few things you could add to them. And you can share that with me, and I can share that with everybody. We can all see it. I think it's a great idea. Thank you, Lisa. Absolutely a brilliant idea. And that's what we want you to do that, Gary. I bet you'll find there's a large audience of people who want to see those photos. And the best way to do it, that's what the internet's for. That's really what makes the internet great, is everybody can post there. In fact, everybody should post there something. In fact, I tell kids this all the time. If you're a high school kid, you really do want to have not a Facebook page, not a Twitter account, not an Instagram or Snapchat account. You want a website, ideally with your name and your best stuff. Because when people Google your name, they're going to find something. And if you don't have something there, they're going to find something your enemy put up there, somebody thought was funny, or, you know, about you. You want to control your reputation online. The best way to do it, and this for young people is very important, is to have a website. Because a Facebook page won't do it. You want a website. And it's great. You go to blogger.com and make a beautiful website for free, forever. It'll last forever. Add your A+ papers to it, your best artwork or photos or poems or writing. It could be your portfolio. And when you start looking for work, and people Google your name, and they will when you apply for a job, you'll have something there to show. I think it's a great idea. We can all do that. And Gary, even you can do that. It's not too late. It's an easy and fun hobby. I have a blog, leolaporte.com. I put my pictures there. But I also put them on SmugMug. I have a site called leo.camera. And I also put them on Flickr. But yeah, it should all start with your blog, I guess, really. leolaporte.com, or in your case, Gary.com. What about it? Let's move on to line 2, Joseph, Dalton, Georgia. Hello, Joseph. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi there. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This the blind guy that talked to you before that had the laptop with a busted screen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I remember.
Running as a Linux box. I'm SSHing into it.
Whoa, nice.
It doesn't take up a lot of resources doing it that way.
No, and it's all text, so your screen reader can read the response, and so that's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, I had a thing happen the other day. My wife, she works from home doing dispatch, and
oh my goodness, I just used up all the time. Hang on, okay, and we'll get to your question after this word. I got to take a break. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Lady Laura. I apologize. I wasn't. If I'd been paying attention, I wouldn't have picked up. I would have just blathered on for another minute. Go ahead. Go ahead now. Your wife, what was the issue?
Oh, well, what happened was that so she works dispatch for a locksmith company, and a weird thing started happening. And I think this was the result of she'd been asked to help this lady that we know with her wedding invites. She was sending out some electronic wedding invitations that included a video, and she needed some kind of video editing software, and so she found something for free.
Uh-oh.
But soon after that, I hear that.
Uh-oh.
Soon after that, she's calling me and saying, "I'm getting all these warnings about viruses." And
oh boy,
these things claim to be McAfee and they claim to be Norton. Your antivirus subscription is expired, and you're going to. And then something kept telling her that she had a virus and some other stuff like that. And a lot of them were. For some reason, a lot of them seem to have Google Chrome written on them, and I don't know if that's...
No, that's random. But remember, the people who do this stuff are spoofing you. They want you to think it's McAfee. Maybe if they put Google Chrome on there, you'll believe that. And maybe it is Chrome, but maybe not. You can't really judge from that. Here's what often happens. When people... And this, my 16-year-old, now 17, does this all the time. He wants a game. It's a free game. He goes to a game downloading site, and they say... Sometimes they don't warn you, but sometimes they do. They say, hey, speed up your download with our special downloader app. And he goes, oh, yeah, I want to do that. Downloads that. Well, what he doesn't look at when he's installing it is screen after screen saying, hey, is it okay if we install this? Is it okay if we install this? And he just wants the download. Your wife just wanted a video editor, so she said, yeah.
I just click through everything.
Yeah. Click through is the word. And so that's the most benign interpretation of this. If that's the case, see, people, it's kind of malware in the sense that you don't want it.
Yeah, I got it.
She didn't want it, but it's not malware in the sense that it's malicious. It's really just adware, right? So if it's the case that that's how she got it, almost always there'll be entries in the ad remove programs in your control panel for everything there. You just have to go through it. Anything you don't recognize, uninstall it.
Yeah, because one of the things on there said it was called Wind Clean or something like that. And
yeah, that's one of them. Yep.
Oh, yeah. And but still, I did see that the people had trouble with a Chrome extension. So this is probably the quick and dirty way, but I basically zapped all the Chrome stuff that was in her local folder. What is it?
Well, that serves her right. Even if you didn't need to do it.
Whole folder. Not the whole folder, just the Google stuff.
Yeah.
Because
it could be a Chrome extension. It could not be a Chrome extension. You just don't know. The first thing in this case, the first thing always before you do anything else is go through ad remove programs and uninstall anything that you don't know what it is or you didn't put it there, because almost always that gets rid of it. If you're still getting pop-ups, then the next thing, look at your Chrome extensions or your browser extensions. Sometimes you'll get what's called a browser hijacker object. Right. I think you jumped on it because it said Chrome, but it may not be Chrome, right? They're not incented to tell you the truth. So
well, that's true.
But it's worth going through. I do this anyway at all times. Look at your browser extensions and delete any you don't need. If it's a browser hijacker object, that's a little bit more malicious, and that won't necessarily show up in ad remove or the extensions. You'll know it's still there if you keep seeing it. You got to hope she didn't download that video editor she downloaded wasn't malware. Most of the time, it's just the wrapper around it. That's why it's free. They make money on all the side load. If it's if it was malware, it's possible you have malware on there. You'll probably not, and you'll probably be okay. I would run a thorough scan of the Microsoft software removal tool, MSRT. Actually, if you hit Windows and type MRT and hit return, you can run a thorough scan. Or run Windows Defender and make sure you don't have anything else installed. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, get down on it. That's a Christmas song, right? No? Oh. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. I spent a little more time talking to our caller, and his wife had pop-ups on the screen after she downloaded and I'm putting this in scare quotes, free video editor. This is really the bane of our existence. It's particularly problematic on Windows, but it can occur on Macs as well. And it can come from, like reputable sites. CNET, for instance, runs a site called download.com. This is CBS Interactive. CBS Interactive. And when you go to download stuff on download.com, it says, well, you got to download our special downloader to help you download the download. And you download that. And then when you install it, it pops up one after another, a bunch of screens with the yes, please, pre-checked. And you just go, yeah, okay. And it's a lot of side stuff, usually adware, stuff that's going to pop up ads, the kinds of things his wife saw. If that's the case, all of that stuff will be removable. They don't want to get in trouble, so they will all have entries in the ad remove programs control panel. You'll be able to remove those. Yay. That's the first thing to do is uninstall those. He also went and blasted out the browser. Sometimes that's a good idea. If it's coming from the browser, you can get malicious extensions or at least adware extensions installed. So I always look at the extensions in all my browsers, make sure, periodically, make sure they're things I want. In fact, it's probably a good idea to go through ad remove programs on a regular basis and see if, what's in there. You want to be a little judicious. You may have stuff installed there that you need, but you don't know the name of it. It doesn't ring a bell for you, but that doesn't mean it's not necessary for Windows. But almost all this stuff will say, better search tool, stuff like that. Then it's bogus. Better search tool. Whatever could that be? 8888, ask Leo's the phone number. Line 3 is Jeff in Woodland Hills. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Leo, how you doing? Happy birthday.
Thank you.
My birthday was 3 weeks before yours. I'm the same year as you.
Scorpio, eh?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh.
And that Orpheus, as they said at the Griffith Observatory, which is the 13th zodiac in the same plane or something like that. But in any event,
wow, that's fancy.
Well, perhaps it's a function of my own hybrid accent. And I want to go back to what your caller Gary said about voice recognition. He started the call by saying he can't say I'm Gary. It changes it to I'm scary.
Yes.
But that's what he started. Well, that's about what I'm calling about. So maybe it's my own accent. I was born in Los Angeles. My parents are from the Bronx. So maybe it's the way I speak.
You sound perfectly fine to me. What happens?
Well, I'm looking for something similar to like a keyboard shortcut, but for voice. For keyboard, we go OMW for on my way.
Yes.
So listen to this. So let's say I'm texting you, and I say, I'm going to come up to Petaluma next week, and I'm doing it with Siri. I say, hey, Siri, text Leo, I'm going to come up. It changes going to Ghana, Gonna. I'm not illiterate, Leo. I don't
say going to in your normal voice.
Right. I'm going to come up to...
You sounds like going. Doesn't sound like I'm gonna. Siri's decided that you are a Mr. Colloquial, that you're Mr. Cash, Mr. Cool, and you would never say going to. You would only say gonna.
Or this, I want to drive down Lombard Street.
Not wanna.
I wanna. Yeah, change it to wanna. So gonna and wanna. Is there anything, settings I can say if it says gonna, change it back to going to? But here's the worst one and the most embarrassing, Leo. Listen to this. My boss, his name is Fabian. So let's say I say, hey, Fabian, I'll be there in a half an hour.
Yeah.
It changes Fabian to baby. So it says,
baby.
Hey, baby, I'll be there in a half hour. Come on. I don't want to say that to my boss.
Unfortunately, this is kind of the way it is with voice assistants these days, and particularly with Ms. Siri. She's not too bright.
No.
There are a couple of things you can try. I don't know if Siri. It sounds like Siri. I do know this, as Siri over time will adjust to your style. So if you type a word a lot in texts, Siri will start to use that word in her interpretation. She's clearly, and Apple doesn't necessarily say this, but they don't say they don't do it. Clearly, she's using every bit of your personalized input to modify her responses to you. So if you type gonna and wanna a lot, then you might get gonna and wanna when you dictate. I would look, though. There are a couple of things to do. First of all, I would look in settings under general and then keyboard. There is an entry called text replacement. Now, this could be one solution for you, that anytime you type baby, it says Fabian. As long as you don't know anybody you want to call baby, that will be fine.
Well, not through Siri, let's put it.
Or as long as you don't text your kids, hey, mom just had another Fabian. That would not be the right thing. But that's one way to do it, is to actually correct her with the text replacement. In fact, you made me think of this because I have a text replacement, OMW. Whenever I type OMW, it types out on my way. Now, there's another thing that actually is the most powerful tool of all on iOS. I highly recommend, but it takes a little thinking and working, but it's called Shortcuts. It doesn't come with an iPhone. It's an Apple app. You can download it from the App Store, called Shortcuts. And what it does, that's really, really handy, is it allows you to create shortcuts that activate a whole series of commands. So, for instance, I'm often late to one of our shows. I do a show at 9 in the morning on Tuesdays, and my co-host is always sitting there waiting for me when I arrive, and I really hate it. So we created a shortcut, and all I have to do is say, hey, you know who, tell Micah I'm leaving. And she understands that, and she acts on it. And what it does is it takes my location. It sends my location on the map to Micah. It actually sends a text that's much longer that says, yo, Micah, I'm on the way. I'm currently not in a ditch. Here's my current location. I will be at work. It puts in the travel time. It says how long it's going to take. It puts in the arrival time. So it says it'll fill it into something like, I'll be at work in 5 minutes at 9:35. And then it sends it to Micah, all with one command, which is, hey, you know who, tell Micah I'm leaving. That's the power of shortcuts. If you find that you are doing things like this on a regular basis, especially if Siri's misunderstanding you, you can use a shortcut and do it a little bit better. I have shortcuts to do all sorts of things. In fact, once you start using iOS, you're probably on iOS 13 if you've got an iPhone.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Once you start using your apps, if you look in the app settings, you'll see most apps allow you to add their Siri shortcuts. My bank, for instance, creates a Siri shortcut. Tell me my 10 most recent transactions, or what's my balance. So I can say, hey, you know who, what's my balance? And it'll activate that shortcut. It'll tell me how much money I have in my account. And you can add extra things like boo-hoo, I don't have anything left, whatever you want to add to that. You can really customize it. It sounds complicated. It might even look complicated when you first look at it. It isn't. It is very well worth looking into because you can really automate the stuff that you want. So that's two possibilities. As far as I know, Apple's never given us any way to look at what Siri thinks we're saying and fix it. You can, with Amazon's Echo and with Google's Assistant, you can look in the settings and see what they heard. Not that that gives you...
Right, you can't change it.
You can't really change it, but you can at least see what they heard. As far as I know, I don't think there's any way to see what Siri heard or correct her if she types gonna all the time.
Yeah.
But at least there's two things you might try that might help. What a great question. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I wonder if there's. I'm going to keep looking, Jeff. I wonder if there's a way to correct Siri. Let me just Google this. If Siri says gonna,
gonna,
it seems like that's terrible.
It is. I'm not illiterate.
I know.
We grew up the same time. We had the same education. We were taught.
It's going to. You don't say gonna, and even if you say gonna, you don't want to type gonna.
No, absolutely not.
Right?
I want going to, like your OMW for on my way.
On my way.
On it to change going to. Yeah.
So I see where you can teach Siri to pronounce a name correctly, but that's not it. That's one of the things you can teach Siri. I know I've done that because there are a lot of names Siri just like. I used to work with a woman named Megan Maroney, and it would always call her Megan Moron. And
nice. Clever.
But what you can actually say is, "Hey Shlomo, pronounce moron Moroni." You can actually tell her to do that. But I don't think you can say. I'm just looking through it. I don't think you can say, "Hey, stop typing gonna" when I say going to. I just don't think you can do it.
And particularly if I'm driving, we all should not text and drive.
Right.
I would tell Siri to make a text, but I can't, read her. And she says, "Hey, baby, gonna," and all that.
That's terrible.
Good.
Well, I do use that Micah thing when I'm on my way to work. So that you can do, and it will automatically do exactly what you say, and it can be a much more elaborate thing. So that's fun. I think this is just a Siri problem. Google is getting better and better and better. And I find that Google's dictation is almost letter perfect now. Amazon is better, but it's in a constrained environment. It doesn't do everything better, but when you're shopping and things like that, it's quite good. Siri, because Apple refuses to collect information about you, is really limited.
Oh, so it keeps repeating the same mistake.
Yeah, it's because it's part of the privacy focus that Apple has decided. And so I don't think Siri is learning at the same rate as Google does, to be honest. So I think everybody who uses Siri knows that this is a problem, that Siri is kind of dumb. And in fact, if I think there is a way to see what you told Siri, but I feel like if I did, it would be a lot of swear words.
Yes.
I know. If I look at Amazon's Echo, let me see if I can see how you can, because both Echo and Google will let you do that, and the implication is and correct it, but I don't think that Apple lets you do any of that. So you can tell Amazon's Echo, no, I didn't say that. I said this, and that they use that to get better, but apparently Siri does not.
No, so instead they're concerned about privacy, so it makes me look illiterate.
Yeah, right. You can use Google on your iPhone for dictation. You can put the Google app on there, and you can use the Google for dictation. Try that and see if it does it right.
I will.
Yeah. Great question, Jeff.
I'll tell you how it works. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. What a great question.
Leo Laporte. I've been listening to you since the early 2000s, I think, on KFI all the time, and I knew that this was a call for you for today.
You got me interested. I'm going to do some research. Perfect. I'm going to look around.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, great.
See ya.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, happy birthday.
Thank you. Oh, man, thank you so much for letting me do this show. I'm very grateful. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. Thanks to Lady Laura, our musical director, for finding holiday music that does not make one cringe. I'm sure she'll continue to do so. Thanks to Kim Schaffer for answering the phone even while her football team was not answering the call. I won't say any more. Thanks especially to you for being here. Let's take a couple more if we can before the show wraps up. Bird, Freeport, Florida. Hello, Bird.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Welcome.
Good, good. Thanks very much. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. So my question, I did post it in the chat. I got about 10 to 14 MacBook Pros and Mac Minis.
What? How come you have so many?
Yeah, our company's kind of moving to a kind of a Mac environment. So,
are these brand new ones or older ones?
They are brand new ones.
Wow, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I think the Mac Mini is an overlooked bargain. They're really good. We use them here.
Really?
Yeah, we use them in servers for a variety of things. I originally used Mac Minis to stream our audio and video. We had a separate Mac Mini for each place we were each endpoint, each place we were streaming to.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
So what do you use them for?
I guess we're going to kind of start pulling back on some of the Windows devices and replace them with Mac. So a lot of the stuff that we do with Windows, we can easily do with MacBook Pros and Mac Minis. So just kind of the shift, kind of the way the corporate environment wants to shift to.
Yeah.
So
IBM did this very famously. They started offering employees either Windows laptops or Macs, and the Macs went through the roof, and they've reported much improved productivity, far fewer problems, So that's, I think I'd be very interested in what your experience is.
Yeah. So, but my question is, so we've got all of these MacBook Pros and Mac Minis, and we expect more to come through. My question is, rather than use a USB medium, can I still use something like a net install? It's been years since I've even looked through the documentation on something like that. But is that still available on some of the latest versions of MacBook Pros and Mac Minis that come out now?
Yes, absolutely. There's a couple of ways to do it. They actually call it net install, and you can create a net install network image that you can then blast, as you would with Windows, blast out over the network to each of those minis. There is a Apple how-to. It's in there. Actually, there's a whole guide. It's called the System Image Utility User Guide. So I would recommend, you can Google that. It's at support.apple.com. And as part of that tool, you get net install. The other thing I would suggest you look at is a company called Jamf, JAMF.com. They have been a sponsor of our shows in the past. They're very well known in the Mac world. In the Windows world, there are 1,000 companies and 1,000 tools for doing what you're about to do. You're used to them. You know how to use them. You've been using them for years. You move to a new operating system, and the whole ecosystem has changed. And frankly, there aren't as many choices because Macintoshes aren't as widely used in the enterprise. But Jamf is a company that actually specializes in managing Macs in enterprise. So they have a enterprise management tool that lets you not only do net installs but manage the Macs, make sure that they're secure, endpoint protection, that kind of thing, in case you've got laptops, security, authentication, identity management, all the kinds of things you already have been using, I'm sure, in the Windows environment for years. Jamf does in the Macintosh environment.
Okay, great. So your recommendation, read up on the System Image Utility.
Yeah, Apple offers something that you already can use, but if you want something a little more powerful, then take a look at JAMF.com. Worst name ever.
Got it.
Jamf. Right. But and again, I will give the disclaimer that the reason I know about them is they were a sponsor for a long time. They're pretty well known in the Mac world. I think they are kind of the kings of enterprise Mac management. What did you use on Windows?
We just used, mostly USB sticks.
Oh, okay. So you didn't have a big management. Yeah, okay. You weren't using App Locker or anything like that. Well, I think you may be impressed. You might say, "Wow, this is this is a lot easier."
Hopefully.
Yeah. Especially, you don't want to image 14 Mac Minis. That's crazy.
Right.
The nice thing about Jamf is if you change, if your standard image changes or you want some custom images, you could do that. And so you can say, well, these are the business Macs, these are the engineering Macs, and you can have different builds for them, but they can have commonalities. It's really very powerful. I think it's actually a great solution.
Perfect.
Yep. Enjoy.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I was very excited. Apple hadn't updated the Mac Mini in years. And earlier this year, they surprised us by putting out, was it this year or last year? It might be last year, a new Mac. And furthermore, surprised us by making them very expandable and very powerful. If the original idea of the Mac Mini, when they came out with it, I think Steve Jobs even said this, is it's a way for people to try Macs without a big investment. You know, you don't have to buy a big old Mac Pro or an iMac and spend thousands of dollars. For $500, you can just get a Mac Mini. And Steve even said this, put this on your Windows desktop tower, connect up the computer, mouse, and monitor, and see, give it a try. It was from Apple's point of view, a Trojan horse into the enterprise. Now, Steve passed away 8 years ago now. So that was a long time ago, when the Mac Minis first came out. And I think after Steve's passing, they were somewhat ignored. Apple just didn't seem to have its heart in the whole thing. These Minis, if you've not seen one, are not. They're little shoebox computers. They're not even that big. What would you compare it to? A personal-sized apple pie. Or something like that. They're small, they're square. They start now at $699. They're not $500 anymore. But they are easily the most affordable Macintosh. And there are a lot of situations where they're a great choice, especially since Apple finally decided to put in decent processors, decent amount of memory, and most importantly, lots of connectors. They have Thunderbolt 3 connectors, HDMI connectors. They have 10 gigabit Ethernet ports. So they are really designed, I think, to be business workhorses. And honestly, I still think they'd make a good replacement to your desktop in a lot of enterprises. A lot of times the enterprise software you use isn't available on the Macintosh. I guess that's the main reason. Here in our studios, all the editors are on Windows because Apple kind of gave up on professional video editing for a while. They've come back. The business office is on Windows, but everybody else uses a Mac. And when people come into the studio, I think a lot of people bring Macintosh laptops with them. In fact, for a long time, it was kind of a joke. You'd go to a Microsoft Windows event or a Microsoft hardware event, and all the journalists in the front row would have those glowing apples on the front of their screen. That actually has changed because Microsoft started making some pretty decent laptops. In fact, that Surface laptop is pretty darn good. Last time I saw a Microsoft event, there were a lot fewer Apple logos in the journalist row. Well, I can tell by the music it's time to wrap things up. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, what's left of it, and I will see you next week. Bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your suggestions. Let's talk high-tech, you and me. It's kind of our user group of the airwaves. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have yourself a great Geek Week. We'll see you next time. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.